Before we get started today, I want to take a quick moment to remind everyone what the Kratom Gals, what are we all about? From day one, and mind you, day one, we're talking this live stream series started in December of 2023. From day one, this platform has existed to give just everyday Kratom consumers a place to come together, share their experiences, ask questions, learn from one another, and have open conversations about the issues affecting this community. Now, we all believe that education matters. We believe honest discussion matters, and we believe people should be able to have conversations even when different opinions and perspectives are involved. What we do here has always come from a genuine desire to help protect access to Kratom, as well as support consumers and encourage more people to stay informed and engaged, and especially to use their voice to advocate for this plant. We know there's so much division and a lot of very strong opinions in this space right now, but our focus is remaining the same as it always been. We're about education, advocacy, community, and making sure consumers have a voice. And we appreciate every single person who continues to support what we do here each week. So, hey, everybody, we're so glad you're here. I'm Madeline Sklar. Welcome to the Kratom Gals. If you're not familiar with us, this is a weekly roundtable discussion where just everyday Kratom consumers like me and the others that are here each week, we come together to talk openly about all these different things happening: advocacy, legislation, the crazy media coverage, and all the misinformation and propaganda that goes with that, plus our own personal experiences and the issues affecting our community right now. Today, we're going to be reacting to the latest Kratom news stories that are making headlines around the country. There's some viral videos that are out making the rounds, and so much more. We got a lot to look at. So a very quick note before we dive in: this live stream is for educational purposes only. We're not medical professionals, and nothing shared here should be taken as medical advice. We're here sharing our personal experiences and advocating for responsible legal access to Kratom. And as always, do your own research, and please understand the difference between natural leaf Kratom, Kratom extracts, and 7-OH. They're not all the same. We talk about that a lot here. They're not the same. Always do your own research. All right, let's bring up the gals that are here today with us. Hey, everybody. How's it going? I didn't mean for us to start so late, so thank you all for bearing with me. It's good to see you all.
Good to see you.
Good to see you, everybody.
Yeah, I just love our weekly gathering. Venus is out doing family things today because of Kratom, so she will not be here.
Nice.
It's just always amazing to hear people talk about the things they're able to do in life because of this plant. It's just incredible. So, yeah, love it. So, yeah, what's new with everybody before we dive into videos?
I'm recharged.
We've missed you.
I know it's been like 2 weeks since it's been 2 weeks. I've had some music gigs going on with one of my artists, and then last weekend we kind of both just let loose and went up to a music festival for the weekend. Just a bunch of different genres of bands and lots of friends up there, just on the mountain, beautiful skies. Like it was much needed reset.
Nice.
Resets are good.
Yes.
Very, very good. Good to see Drew Turner hanging out in the live chat. Haven't seen you in a while, Drew. And congrats on speaking out on Capitol Hill recently. It's a pretty amazing thing to go do, is to be, at the Capitol. I've done that for a couple of years, and it's an incredible experience. It was wonderful hearing Venus share with us several weeks ago her experience going. She went last year. She went again recently, and I think it's just awesome hearing people talk about their experience doing that and inspiring others to do it.
Absolutely.
And anybody can do this. Like, you don't have to have a special invite. You literally go to Washington, D.C. and talk about this plant. You can go to your state capitol and talk about this plant. You can go locally to your local reps. There's so much we all can do. We all do what we can do. And there's no scorecard. There's no, somebody advocates more than the other person. You do what you can do, and great, as much as you're able to, but we know not everybody can, and that's okay.
Agreed.
You
But
said it very well. There is no scorecard.
yeah, yeah, is doing what you can. Like even though I had the opportunity to take disability over a decade ago, I chose not to. I've been self-employed for 30 years. I love doing my own thing, and I don't want to give that up. And because of Kratom, I'm able to still sit at a computer and work and do the things I love and that fuel me. And so, yeah, a lot of these Zoom calls, it's just doesn't work with my work schedule. But it doesn't mean I'm not advocating and doing lots of things behind the scenes. But even just bringing everybody here each week to discuss this plant, that's advocating. Telling a friend, telling a family member about Kratom, that's advocating.
Right.
Everything is advocating.
Mm-hmm.
You do what you can.
And one of the best things to do is spread more public knowledge about Kratom so that the vast majority of people know about it rather than the vast minority.
I was surprised how many knew about it up at the festival I was at, because there was quite a people that came over to me. It was like, hey, do you have any extra Kratom on you? I didn't bring enough with me. And I'm like, granted, like I was, out in a field and, enjoying the sun and dancing around. So I was dosing a little bit more frequently, but it was kind of nice to have people kind of just come up and go, hey, like, I know that you have Kratom. Do you have any more? Do you have any extra on you? And it was kind of nice. It was kind of nice just to have people come up and like talk about the different types. And then, we talked about the podcast and stuff. So hopefully, like I know a lot of them right now are doing the festival. So, but they're going to tune into the podcast after. So I'm looking forward to hearing what they have to say. So it's good. A lot of people from Maine and like New Hampshire and Massachusetts and New York and Pennsylvania are all kind of like, they're really interested to hear about the podcast. So it was really cool to kind of connect with people up there about it.
Yeah. What a great comment from Noper Mission TV that as a new Kratom user, you've learned a lot from my videos. I appreciate that. That's part of what I do to educate and advocate. When I discovered Kratom 7 years ago, it was during a really tough time in my life. I was taking care of my mom. I became her in-home caregiver because she had a lot of medical issues and needed somebody to take care of her. My dad passed away suddenly, and so somebody needed to be with her to care for her. So being that I'm self-employed, I took it upon myself to be the one to do that. And that was when I lost access to my pain meds and all that craziness. And luckily I found Kratom. And Kratom changed my life. And because of this plant, I was able to really care for her the way I needed to be able to with the physical part of it and the emotional part. There's a lot to that. Taking care of a family member with Alzheimer's and in home, very different from people that just go do the visiting. Like, you're there 24/7. Anyway, when I discovered Kratom, I was like, this is amazing. This is life-changing. I will never be quiet about this. For a long time, I was quiet about being somebody that suffers with chronic pain taking opiates because the stigma. And with this plant, I'm like, I can't be quiet about this. It's just a plant. And not only is it helping my chronic pain, it's helping it better. Like I know not everybody gets the same experience I do, but with natural leaf Kratom, it's like night and day. From my 9 years in pain management, taking opiates every day, where I get some relief, but not a lot, but enough where I could still work and function. But with Kratom, like right now, my lower back, I'm not feeling any pain at all, and or my neck, which are my two main issues with degenerative disc disease. So I knew right then and there, while I'm taking care of my mom, it's like, when I'm done with this chapter in my life, I'm going to start a podcast. I already had it all figured. This is my experience for people that know me. I've been in digital marketing for 30 years. I've been teaching social media for over 20 years. I started podcasting in 2013. I started live streaming in 2010. I've been doing all this stuff a long time. I have lots and lots of experience. And I think the coolest things I do and communities I've built since the mid-90s are the ones that are my passion projects, something that's a big part of my life that I just want to do as much as I can. And people are not paying me to come advocate and do any of these things, just like my other past passion project communities going all the way back to the mid 90s. It's just part of who I am and what I do. But I knew right then and there I was going to start a podcast called Kratom Stories, which I've done. And new episodes I know I've been saying this a while. I have help with a video editor, and oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I already got working on the episodes, and it's going to be so great. And it's just makes this part so much easier for me. Anyway, I just knew I would start a podcast and get really active and public facing with my advocacy, which is what I've been doing for about 3 years now since my mom's passing. And I'm taking my skills. I know how to round up people and build a community. We have our school community we've had for several years now, and it just keeps growing, and we've helped so many people just with a private community where it's not like a Facebook group where we're censored and they remove our accounts and we can't talk about this plant. It's so nice having a space where I'm the one that I pay for it out of my pocket so that we have a place where we will never be censored. And it's just a nice feeling. So I just love all the stuff I do. And it's not going to be anything anybody's going to be able to say or do that will ever stop me from doing this, because this is something I feel very strongly about. People need to know that there's a plant. It might help them. I'm not telling people to go use it. I'm not telling people what to do, but it's been life-changing for me, as I know it has been for you all as well. People deserve to know about it.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I mean, I talk about it constantly, just not having to consume like the insane amount of pharmaceuticals I had to consume. Like, I mean, I stopped counting. It was over 50,000, like probably around like 5 or 6 years ago. It's like went into 5 or 6 years, and it's like I'm 9 years into it. So I can only imagine what that would be at now, and what else they would have shoved at me along the line, because my back pain is, it's getting worse. My back issues, they're never going to get better. They're only going to get worse, but it's all manageable now. I was able to go out, was I in pain? Yeah. Like it was a long week of recovery. I spent most of the day yesterday in bed sleeping, but it, for my mental health and my physical health, I was able to get out there because of Kratom. And that's what I had out there. I had Kratom, I didn't need any 7.0 when I was out there, so it's like, I used my plain leaf, and I used my little bit of, mint extracts and other botanicals. And I made it through, entire like 3-day weekend out on a mountain in the hot blazing sun, and had my little car all set up camping. It was comfortable. I had an air mattress, so I wouldn't have been able to sleep in a tent, but I had an air mattress. So, but I mean, even people out there, they were like, wow, like, are you doing okay? You good? And I ended up being the one taking care of others, it was the other way around. I ended up taking care of others. So it was kind of cool to, to be able to do that now, and just like mentally just being able to do that, and then help people that, ask for Kratom right there is just, it warms my heart to be able to help others. So that's just kind of me anyways. I'm a helper and a fixer.
Mm-hmm.
And I really want to quickly take this moment to remind, especially people that are new to our community here to this live stream, that not all of us are 7-OH consumers. We're here to talk about Kratom, and some of our panelists are utilizing 7-OH as part of their pain relief in very therapeutic ways. But this is a community conversation. And so just because Amanda and Twinkle from time to time bring up 7-OH, that's part of what's helping them, it does not mean anybody here is endorsing it. It does not mean anybody here is telling people, oh, go take these products.
No, none of us are telling anybody.
This is a conversation. And I think anybody that comes here is very obvious that that's all this is. And so I just want to throw that. I always feel like I got to throw these disclaimers out, because you just hear these things from time to time. It's like, how on earth would somebody think that? So anyway,
we all have and are all entitled to our different opinions.
Yes.
Period. That's part of what made this country great. So let's get back to that.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So yeah.
I don't have to agree with someone to support them.
And even our own therapeutic options. So
Exactly.
We're all individuals. Our needs are different. Our conditions are different. Even if we have the exact same illness and we're sharing the exact same condition, it's still different because we're not the same people. even identical twins, if they shared the same thing, their experience would be different. So,
Oh,
none
absolutely.
of us are the same.
Well, what brings, the four of us together is that we all suffer from very debilitating chronic pain. So we definitely have a very specific, reason why we consume the products we consume. And I know people consume Kratom for a variety of things. It's not, just people with chronic pain, but that's definitely what's been bringing us together, is because we found this plant that's just been amazing in our well-being, so that we're not suffering and laid up in bed our whole lives, And so
I literally would not be able to even sit in this chair
same
for an hour, let alone 3
Same.
hours,
Same.
without the benefit of Kratom. And I was
None of us would
fortunate
be
enough to
living our
find it
life.
many years ago.
That-
So
Yeah.
what works for me, as Twinkle said, doesn't necessarily work for someone else. What I choose to consume is my business. If I choose to share that, that's okay too. But don't degrade me, don't attack me for what I choose for me. I'm not telling anybody else to do it.
That's
I
right.
personally do not consume 7-OH. I've been blessed that Kratom and some of the other botanicals work well for me. Someday that may change, and if it does, I'll address it at that time. But until then, I'm not going to tell somebody else what they can and cannot do.
Yeah.
Exactly. And
Like
last week,
Madeline, you and I have a lot of the same back issues, and my dose is, like a 7.5 gram dose. So that shows the difference just in my dose, and your dose is much smaller than mine to how different, even though someone with the same back issues needs different amount of,
That's
even
right.
just plain leaf Kratom for a dose.
yeah.
And my dose hasn't changed either. It's been the same for 9 years. Like I take 7.5 grams. It's been that way the whole time.
It's interesting how, so many of us say the same thing, like, I'm taking the same dose all these years. I've been consuming Kratom for over 7 years, every day. I've never gone a day without it because my chronic pain's so severe. I can't even take half a day off because I don't want to be suffering and laid up in bed. I was the same way with my pain meds.
Let me
taking them. I took them because I didn't want to suffer. And so Kratom is the same thing. Yes, go ahead.
One thing I would say, Madeline, it's not that you can't go a day without it. You choose not to.
Not to, yes.
Can we?
And-
Yes. Do we want to? Are we going to? No.
No, because it's
Exactly what-
miserable.
It is available.
Yeah.
It's miserable to have to. I mean, if anybody's ever, had a surgery or something, what it's like to stay on top of the pain so the stronger pain doesn't come back. I mean, this is like, many of us live in, chronic pain. So it's like living that with a constant basis to keep our pain at a medium, versus a high level. It's way more manageable than trying to get it back down from a high level, because that takes a lot more. And anybody knows that with surgeries and everything. That's why they're telling you to rotate,
again. Yeah.
Exactly. It's just like they're telling you to rotate ibuprofen and Tylenol, I always tell people rotate your dose because it's going to help your body more than, not.
Absolutely.
I personally have never encountered a time or a day where I have been able to drop my pain to 0. But I'm okay with that.
Too.
I can drop it to a 2 or a 4, and that's good. I'm okay with that, because otherwise I'm at a 10. And people look at you and go, oh, you can't be at a 10. You wouldn't be functioning. My 10 and your 10 is different, first off.
That's right.
Second off, if you live with it, for me, going on 50 plus years,
you learn to manage with the pain, because you're forced to. It's either that you can't do things in life. You can't get out of bed. You can't eat. You have to do things on your own. We don't have people here taking care of us, like we're forced to do it on our own, so it's like.
Right, because I'm also a caregiver to my partner. He has disabilities. I have a dog. I have children and grandchildren. There are things I have to do. Whether I can or not is beside the point. I still have to. So leave me alone. Let me manage my pain the way I choose to manage it. And stop trying to tell me I'm wrong. Just stop.
Right. Exactly. And we're
I'm
all
an adult.
different.
Leave
We're
me
all
alone.
different. The plant affects everybody differently. You know, sometimes people will jump into my comments on social media and say, you know, I'm taking this much. Is this too much? Or is this, you know, and I'm always like, some people need a very small amount to get the relief or for what they're looking to get out of it. Some people need more. For me, I'm a little bit on the higher level. I take 2 teaspoons, which is about close to 5 grams every 6 hours. What works for me is staying on the schedule. If I just take it every 6 hours, I'm good. I'm not suffering. Yes, I get other pains, flare-up pains and stuff. I did I think it was a TikTok video or YouTube, one of those long video about all that, my thoughts on that, because I have all kinds of flare-up pains. I'm no youngster, but Kratom helps my main pain, which is my day in, day out degenerative disc disease that's in my neck and back. And like, I suffer if that's not dealt with. The flare-up comes and goes. I can deal with that. And then it's usually, you know, Tylenol or Aleve are the 2 things that help me with those. I don't know why Kratom doesn't help me with that. It helps a lot of people with their flare-ups. I'm like, God, but we're all different. It's just a reminder.
That's just it.
Different.
Yes,
And
because some people
see,
think that
I'm one of
Kratom helps their nerve pain. That's the part of it that's difficult for me. It doesn't offer me the majority of nerve pain relief, but it makes me feel better. Therefore, I can handle the pain better. So there's no direct relief.
That's
But
why I dove into
because
other botanicals.
my day is better, then pain isn't as hard to cope with.
Mhm.
And so,
right.
And I happen to be one of those. I'm on the very low end of what my dose is. I take what I've learned is about 1.5 grams to 2 grams. Anything more than that, I don't like the way I feel. So that's what works for me. Somebody else taking 1.5, 2 grams, it might not do anything, or it might put them in the dirt as far as making them tired. And so one of the things that and we've all been here a while, journal, keep track of everything, and experiment with what your dose and your strain is.
Yeah.
And make sure it's compliant and properly, like lab tested.
Yes, lab tested for sure. This is a great question here. So No Permission says, is that 5 grams before you strain it, or do you intake the plant matter? So I've experimented with all of that, and I cannot strain it. If I strain it, I don't get the pain relief. I've tried every which way over the years. I've even tried the AeroPress. I know you put the AeroPress in there in your comments before. Apparently my body for pain relief needs the plant matter, and I'm okay with that. It doesn't cause me any issues doing that, and I'm going to do whatever gives me the best pain relief. And so, yeah,
I toss and wash.
And see, I do swamp water, so
yeah,
it's finding what works for you.
That's what's cool about there. Again, each one of us usually uses a different method for intaking our kratom. Some of us use capsules, some of us use tablets, some of us toss and wash, some of us tea. It's all learning what your body needs at the time from the dose.
Yeah. And just knowing we're all different. You know, so many times people will jump into my TikTok comments and or they'll pose a generic question. I have pain. Tell me what kind I need, which color and how much. And it's like, doesn't work. Believe me, I wish it was that easy. The number of times I have my little generic, it's not one size fits all. It's very individualized. It's best to, experiment, trial and error. Some people, it works magically from the start. For some of us like me, it takes a little bit of time. It took me almost a few weeks before I figured out the right color and the right amount that helped my pain. And it was a process. And the key was, I'm glad I didn't give up. I'm so glad. I think too many times people give up.
I know you do green primarily for pain.
Yeah.
I do red. My daughter is white. White is what works on her pain. There again, it's all different. So find a good vendor that you can buy some sample packs. Try each one until you figure it out.
Yeah. Sample packs.
Don't be afraid to reach out to someone and ask questions. Yes. Because that's still another way to advocate, is helping to educate consumers on how to consume kratom.
Absolutely. Danny says, if you don't have any quality of life, then you don't have life. So
You
true.
don't.
It's so
You
true
don't.
because
So
we were
true.
like existing, like being stuck in bed and missing things with my son, or missing being able to go outside, just because it's too much. Or by the time that I'd shower, I'd just be done because it would just wipe me out. It's like we're living, like we're existing, we're existing in a living life versus existing in a shell of a person that we once were. It's like, I don't know what I don't know what I would do if I got forced to go back on pain meds. I already know that my doctor's like, I can't properly treat you. There's not enough pain meds out there to help me. It's already been, pharmaceutical resistant to so much. And what I can take doesn't really do anything, to help my pain. And it's like constantly trying to stay on top of it. And I can't take Tylenol. I can't take ibuprofen. It's like, I'm very limited on what I can take. Like, leave my plants alone, please. Because this is what I can take right now. And they're taking everything else away. Like, just let me have mine. I'm not hurting nobody. I'm just minding my own, dancing in a field,
Yeah.
Yeah. Melly says, oftentimes adding lemon or lime helps pull out the alkaloids of the plant matter. This plant is a gift if used properly with reverence. So true.
Oh yeah, they've done that. They use like the citric acid. They make the bread bubble. They do all kinds of, there's all different types of way that people, take the kratom.
Yes.
And I think it's really cool. It's like a little scientific experiment. And that was one of my favorite classes. So it's fun because, you're learning what works for you. I personally have to mix a red and a green because just taking a red by itself isn't enough for me. I don't get everything that I need from it, and I need a mix, and I'm constantly switching because it keeps my body guessing. My morning dose is usually the same, but everything else is not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love making up my own blends. Well, let's try a little bit of this one and a little bit of that and not as much of that one and see what happens.
But I always tell people that are new when they're just asking for some general advice, I always say, don't start off with blends because you might be, because like with me, greens are only ones that really work on me. And so, luckily I was advised from, people telling me just get one of each color, get a white, a green, and a red, and just see how you do with those. And that makes all the difference. I know a lot of companies make blends, and I'm not knocking that at all. But when you're new, if you're like me and reds do nothing, if you have a blend with reds in it, it's probably not going to do anything for you, even though there's lots of blends that have plenty of green with reds or whites or the train wrecks and stuff, is finding what works for you. And I think it's just good to start with each one at a time and do it more than once so you can see, because I knew the first time with white, oh no, this is not for me. But I was like, let me try one more time. So the next dose I did again. Oh no, never.
And I keep trying it, thinking that maybe
that's not for me.
I just want the energy. It's not for me. It always makes me too tired. And
tired makes me jittery. It makes me like.
And it does it with me. I just don't even. I'm wanting to get the energy as if it were coffee, like a coffee or a caffeine or a lifter up. It doesn't. And so, but you make a good point with especially the samples of the red, the green, the white, because we can always blend it ourselves later once we learn to do that ourselves with our packs, with our, doing it off right away, then you wouldn't know which one. It's like when we raise our kids on their first foods or baby foods, and they have a adverse reaction, then you got to pull that baby food back and find out what you entirely remove it. And so it's just a good way
finding what works
to do things. Absolutely. Yeah.
And somebody brought up a good point in the comments. Different strains sometimes are different. It's a plant. Therefore,
different area of the tree
can impact it.
It's always
different areas that it comes
different
from.
Vendors can have a different blend.
And the times of year, the rainy season versus the dry season.
Oh, that makes it drastic. I know we've had some really strong greens that I couldn't even take over the last 10 years. And I'm like, there's been 2 batches of some strong greens that hit me like a white that I was like, no, thank you. But it does. It's the time of the year. And it does. A lot of people don't understand that, especially new ones in the community. winter months and summer months are drastically, for me, I've noticed drastic changes in the leaves certain times of the year. You know, like you notice like a green will be more energetic, you know, versus like, you know, a red might be more sedating for some. Nothing sedates me other than, you know, the crash come down off of a white. That's why I just don't take it. So, but again, it affects us all differently, you know.
Mm-hmm.
The bottom line, you got to do your research. Anybody that
And that's why you saying that about the blends is so beneficial, because say you do take a blend and it works the way you want it to. What if that vendor happens to run out of that particular blend? You're not going to know what to do or what to consume. And their blend may not be the same as anybody else's blend.
That's right.
So with a blend,
Always a little different.
Until you have knowledge of each individual strain, a blend is not a beneficial way to go.
Yeah, great advice. Well, let's get to the videos. We've just been like chatting it up for quite a while here. I got lots for us, never a shortage of stuff for us to watch. But before I get into, you know, some news stories that have come out this week, I'm gonna play a video. I actually made it this morning while I was out walking my dog. I haven't posted on social media yet, so you all here are the first to see it. But it's just that reminder when you're in the moment, like, oh my God, Kratom is so amazing. I had that moment this morning, so let me play this video for y'all. I'm out walking my dog, and I just did something I can only do because of Kratom, because of my natural Kratom. I just now bent down and tied my shoe. For a lot of people, that's so not a big deal, but when you suffer from debilitating chronic pain in your lower back, I have degenerative disc disease. I've been living with it for about 20 years. I normally can't bend down and tie my shoe. Before Kratom, the only way I could tie my shoe is I'd have to be sitting, and bending over to do it in a sitting position was still pretty excruciating, but I would just make it work. I literally just now, while walking her, I literally bent all the way down, I knelt down, because I could, knelt down, hunched over, tying my shoe. It's pretty amazing, and it's only because of Kratom. That's why I come on here and I educate, because I couldn't do these things when I was in pain management. Just trying to make sure people are aware. Kratom's not for everyone. I'm not telling people to go use it. I'm just sharing my personal experience. So I just wanted to point that out, because I literally just did it. My back doesn't hurt, and I'm just so wowed.
Nice.
It's such a nice feeling when
That
you're
is
like,
awesome.
I can't believe I just did that.
Mm-hmm.
And being able, and I start, after I made that video, I'm like, how did I used to tie my shoes? Because I started thinking, I don't really think I could sit. Like, I know I think I had to sit down. I always had to sit down. I think I had to like sit down and kind of put my foot up or my leg up or something. I remember it was so hard to do. It was like, why do we have to live like this?
That had tears, because I could hear it in your voice, like the accomplishment, just that like I'm over here dabbing my eyes, but I know, like, I had tears multiple times this past weekend, because like many times my friends were like, are you okay? And I'm like, I'm okay. Like, I'm okay. And I'm like, I'm all right. You know, like, yeah, I had to dose quite a few times more. I probably dose like 5 times a day versus my 2 or 3, but still that's not much for me, where I used to be dosing 6 or 7 times a day just to manage my pain. And now I'm at a good level, but that's awesome. That is such a good feeling. So I'm so glad that, like, what a rush. Like literally most people wouldn't understand, but like tying your shoe, it's literally the little things that honestly matter with us. You know, it's like getting to do something so minute, like showering without being exhausted, or, you know, getting through like cleaning your house or tying a shoe. It's like the little things people take for granted. We relish on those, and we hold on to those like extremely, you know, close to our heart. So I'm glad that you were able to do that, because like you had me over here in tears.
It was a nice feeling, and it's just like, God, I just love this plant, and this is why I shout about it from the rooftops, because to be able to do something I normally could not do is just this incredible feeling. And I was in the moment, I'm like, I gotta make a video and tell the story just now, what happened, because it was just thrilling. And I still have plenty of limitations. I mean, one of the hardest, I've always had this issue, but Kratom helps, but still, it's not perfect, and I can only stand for so long. I can't sit for too long. So I can move around. I can sit a lot longer. Like, I can sit here for hours and do this show with y'all. And towards the end, my back's hurting a bit, but standing is hard. So I can't really cook a lot. And if I make something, I'm in the moment, and then maybe if 45 minutes or an hour goes by, and I'm like, oh my gosh, my back's killing me now because I'm just standing too long.
Cooking is the worst for me too. It's a lot. I don't know what it is. I mean, I used to do hair, so it's like constantly standing over someone's head. I felt it a lot and that's where a lot of my issues are, in my shoulders and my lower back. But then I was hunched over as a dental assistant, in people's faces. But cooking, man, that wipes me out. Like,
yes.
I maybe cook, honestly, like I probably cook about 3 or 4 times a month, and that's a stretch. Everything else is like, I'll cook enough to like kind of meal prep a little bit for the week, but I just pick, because cooking is such a chore, and I don't like it because I get in so much pain from it. I just, and when I cook, like I make like stuffed peppers, enchiladas. Like I don't, I make big meals when I do stuff, because I like my food. But man,
yeah,
and
there's
at
still a
my
lot I
other
can't do.
house, at my other house, I cooked a couple times a week. I might have been making, poppers, jalapeno poppers, or different things, or batch cooking pots of spaghetti sauce so that I could freeze them. But it really took me all day. And I had to use a stool. I couldn't stand there all day. Of course, Kratom helped relieve that. But I did it because, well, one, we have to eat and we don't eat out because, that's costly. And two, it was a distraction from pain and to accomplish something. And, living isolated, like, what else can you do? I mean, my patio where my kiddie pool was for summertime and springtime water therapy that I do myself, but cooking is a chore. And I'm blessed here that they do the cooking for us. And then I will try to keep my eyes on the kids, because now we're in a house with kids, or help in that regard. And that's a blessing to me right now. For me, with the options I'm using for my pain, I'm living my best limited painful life ever in decades. And so, I don't want to lose that or let go of that.
I think it's
It is
awesome.
literally my best life right now. And so it's still painful. There are still days I can't get up. I can only make myself presentable once a week, or maybe if I go out, if it's a special thing, because otherwise I just can't. But I'm going to fight for that, so and hold on to it as long as I can.
Well, and
And we're
speaking
all
of that,
doing the same thing. We're all doing the same. We're trying
absolutely.
to hold on to what we have so that we're not bedridden, and we're
I don't
not
know how
on the
anybody could
walkers
want to
and the
take
canes
that
and
from so many people.
that's just
That
it.
I've never understood, because it's like, I understand we've got grieving people, but it's like, how would you, like, I look at it as like a huge, anti-Kratom as a whole. Like, I've seen so much hate toward it, and I'm just like, but we're normal people. Like, we're doctors, lawyers, nurses, police,
Right.
like, for, veterans, like normal people. Like, I've been a teacher, a dental assistant, a hairstylist. I'm a normal person. Like, I'm not out here breaking the law. I'm not some like, some person that's like out there just hurting anybody. So it's like, I don't understand how someone would want to take that away from me when it's literally proven to do more for me than better than not. I mean, I was on pain meds for 30 years. That was I was 9 years old, all of my childhood, all of my teens, majority of my adulthood. And for the last 9 years, I haven't had to do that. And I have a life, and I can actually like live and be present as a mother, even though my son's almost 27 years old, but like I can be present. And I just don't understand how mothers, fathers, people out there that are wanting to ban this plant as a whole would want to take that away from people like me, who is just no different than them. So it's like, and that's why I try to fight and be that loudmouth advocate that I am. And, just preach, like, do your own research, follow the science. It's all out there. Don't believe everything that you hear on TV. It's no different than politics. They want one side or the other. Make your own opinion on it, but do your own research, and don't demonize people like us who are sitting here taking a plant just to get through our lives and, try to make do and just live. We're not out here as bad people. And I really hope more people would just see that there's so many of us, thousands, billions of us who take this plant, and none of us are like out here,
we're living our best lives.
We are. We're living our best painful lives, but we are living them.
Yes.
Painful lives, but we're living them.
And going back to when Twinkle's saying, fighting for this, you were at the state capitol in California this week.
Yes,
doing
I was.
Just that. You want to talk about
Thank
that
you.
briefly before we move on to some other videos?
Sure. So that was AB 1088 Baines, and it could have banned Kratom and 7.0 in California. And so originally the language was semi-decent, and I would have supported it. But as everything has changed over the last couple of years, as well as they had amended it, it was sloppy. It wasn't clear. So I did go to oppose it. And it was pulled. It's off the table. It may come back at a later date, but it's done for now, and I'm glad for that. I need there to be more time for there to be more education and the legislators to learn more before making a decision that would, affect so many people. So thank you. Yep. And I've actually followed this bill from the beginning. So I was at this one, and I was also at the others that came up for the same one.
Thank you for going, Twinkle.
Yeah, thank you for that. And thank you for sharing. And I snuck off real quick because I found
that's all right. I can't always do everything for the other states, and I do try for example, Georgia. I have my family is from there. Michigan, I wasn't able. I did send a letter a while ago. Michigan, my daughter lives there, so I should have. I don't have a lot of physical and mental time because of my conditions, and but for California and being a constituent to certain ones, and I'm getting ready to move again, that's different. And I've actually done this for decades. There was a gap because of my health. I haven't done this for decades for Kratom, but I have previously, with policy and advocacy director and healthcare advisor to another foundation that was actually amazing and quite accommodating. And I did attend with Seven Hope Alliance, and they were also accommodating because, I am somebody like many of us who live with disabilities and severe pain. And so, but that's just my little part of it. Thank you for letting me share.
Absolutely. Well, I'm just proud of you because of all of this. You were able to go and do that. And normally that's not something you're able to do.
No. Very few and far between.
Drew's meeting with the senator in his area. That's awesome on Monday. I just saw that comment. Drew. That's awesome.
Excellent.
Yeah, that's great. All right. I'm going to start off with, let's go watch some of the news stories that have been out in this past week. So the first one, y'all may have already heard about this. The New York Times did an article and a video. I got the video we're going to watch. And on their YouTube channel, I mean, mind you, they got all their socials, and their paper, but just on their YouTube with 5 million subscribers, this video came out a few days ago and it's already at 109,000 views. So that's the video we're going to watch now. So let's watch this and then we'll talk about it.
The producer of this gas station drug called Kratom is a key player in a sophisticated and sprawling influence campaign targeting the Trump administration. Kratom is a natural substance that comes from this leaf. It's legal in most states and available in drinks like this one made by a company called Botanic Tonics. It's marketed as a natural supplement that can boost mood, energy, and focus, and it's sold more than 130 million servings since 2020. But public health experts say that Kratom can be addictive, and the company is seeing their sales eroded by a synthetic and more potent strain of the drug called 7.0H. The owner of Botanic Tonics is a guy by the name of J.W. Ross.
Problem is that everyone's just saying kratom. They're not saying leaf kratom versus kratom extract. So that's the piece we're focused on clearing up.
After the 2024 election, he launched an influence campaign to try to court Trump officials to shift scrutiny from natural kratom and toward its rival. Campaign finance filings show that Ross and his company had donated more than $1.1 million to political committees associated with RFK Jr. And he's found an ally in Homeland Security Secretary Mark Wayne Mullen. Mullen filed a personal financial disclosure statement that revealed that he had equity in Botanic Tonics worth between $500,000 and $1 million. But our reporting also found that Mullen is more than just an investor in Botanic Tonics. During his time as a U.S. Senator, Mullen privately urged the FDA to dial back its warnings about the health risks of kratom. In July of 2025, the Food and Drug Administration announced a major initiative to crack down on 7-OH, the rival drug to kratom.
We are initiating action to recommend scheduling of 7-OH as a controlled substance.
The FDA even emphasized that its goal was not going after natural kratom, even though public health officials have warned about its dangers as well. Mullen also took the stage and railed against the risks of 7-OH.
It's legal, but it's an addiction that's ruining lives.
It's not clear if at the time of that press conference he was already an investor in Botanic Tonics, but the scheduling of 7-OH would be a big win for natural kratom. We reached out to the Department of Homeland Security and the Department of Health and Human Services. Neither of them offered any details about J.W. Ross's relationship with RFK Jr. or Mark Wayne Mullen, but DHS issued a statement saying that Mullen had followed all ethics rules. The apparent success of this influence campaign shows how the Trump administration is receptive to special interests, even when those interests are pushing for policy positions that seem to be at odds with public health.
Ooh, what do y'all think of all that?
Money talks, doesn't it?
It
Oh,
sure
money
does.
talks.
The first thing I'm going to say is, so what if Mullins is invested in a company? I don't care. Maybe he spoke about the plant before he invested in that company. Maybe he didn't. But I like the fact that he did speak out, because maybe it'll make other people stop and pay attention to the fact they need to leave kratom alone. They need to regulate it, not prohibit it.
But it doesn't look good when there's a financial tie in
Right.
the middle of politics, you know?
But that ends up making kratom look dirty rather than the people involved. And
Well, I mean,
that's
we're seeing
that's
it
the
in
part that
politics
frustrates me.
with it right now, with them, wanting to ban. They're wanting to ban 7. I saw it here in New Hampshire. I mean, I've seen it multiple times here in New Hampshire. It's the United Way, the GKC. Like, what is going on in this case? It's just, money's talking, and we don't matter. We're just, people that don't have the money apparently to put it forth when we're out there, just advocating, which is super frustrating. Like, come on. It's like they want it, they want things off the shelves because it's taking away from certain things versus, I look at the bigger picture of what's really going on, and it's so frustrating. It's like, why are they wanting all of this taken away? It all comes down to money.
The biggest thing is money. Yeah, the biggest thing is stay out of politics.
Yes.
Take kratom out of the political arena and put it back where it belongs, in the hands of people making intelligent, informed, adult decisions about what we consume. Period.
I mean, we proved that as a community when we got them to stop the ban, 2016, 2017. Like, we did that as a community. The consumers did that. Like, people really forget what really it was. It was our voice behind it. Like, we were the ones that were really backing, the claims that were being said, like, kratom is this, it's not this, it's like, and we all stood up and they saw it, they saw it, and they're like, okay, like, we're seeing these people, this is, these people aren't coming in here, inebriated. And I mean, they're even seeing that now, like, when people are going and speaking on 7-0, people are not inebriated when they're going in there. It's not like they're not, if it was 13 times stronger, whether it plain leaf, mint extract, or 7, because they've all said it about every single one. If each one was 13 times stronger than morphine, none of us would be able to have a coherent conversation.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Correct.
there's just no way possible. And for me, like, I stood face to face with my New Hampshire legislative, and I had taken 7-0 that day because my anxiety was through the roof. My stomach was totally not okay with the Crohn's, and my pain was off the charts. And they were like, well, if you're taking it and I think he called it a microdose, like, it may not be verbatim, but like a small dose, and you're taking it responsibly, why are we going to ban it? And that's what was like, oh, I was really proud of New Hampshire. And then come back and then find out, people come in and start paying things off just to get a changed vote. And that's why New Hampshire went the way that it did. But thankfully, the language was so messed up that they couldn't, they had to let the bill lie, and thankfully California's kind of going the same. And, thank God for 7 Hope. And I'm giving them praise right now because they've really been working their butts off to go and like say, no, like the language in this bill is not right. Like, you aren't putting the right language. You can't do this bill you can't legally put this bill through with the way your verbiage is right now. And it is stopping these bills from going through. So, I'm like, pat on the back to them right now because we need that. Like, I don't care who's doing it, but we need everybody. Like,
yeah,
if they're stopping it, they're stopping it. If they're educating them, good. That's what we need. We need that education. And I don't care where it's coming from. As long as it's proper education and it's getting to the right hands and they're stopping these bans, I'm going to support it.
Well, the narrative is,
and I don't consider it to be the demon opioid that is being, the thing is it doesn't matter if it's a traditional opioid or if it's an opioid because it touches the receptors. Kratom also does that, just lighter. So 7-0 would be, pain only. It doesn't have all the other alkaloids and all that. This is my experience in low, for me, only me. I'm not telling anybody to take it or anything like that because I don't know your history. So in small therapeutic doses for analgesic relief, it's been very safe and effective for me. And I wouldn't be when I first started, you guys, I could only put in 1 hour sitting here. I couldn't do it. Back when I was guest with you, back with Mike Overstreet's show, I was still on the day bed. I couldn't get up. This was only a couple years ago.
I remember.
This is difficult for me. I looked like a slob every time just trying to attend because I just couldn't. It was very difficult for me. So if somebody takes it, you have to be careful and you have to respect it like you would. Again, if you can't respect it that way, then don't take it at all. You might end up in trouble. And then if you overconsume it, then yes, that's going to cause trouble too. If you mix it and you stack it and you're taking it with alcohol and other things, don't do it. You're going to be in trouble. So you really have to have the respect. And
but here's the narrative. The narrative is anybody that uses 7-OH is, they're overusing it. You're addicted. You got all these issues. And we've all been hearing this and it's been force fed into us for years, right? For a couple of years now, right? Especially by one person. But Amanda and Twinkle, since y'all have been open about how y'all consume it therapeutically with your natural Kratom, those of us here have been getting an education in this. That's not saying, oh, y'all go run out and buy this and use this. No, is y'all sharing your personal experience. And even though, a lot of people are being demonized and shunned if they talk about it and, oh, you're a junkie if you take that. That is not necessarily true. There are people that have been saying those of us that take our natural Kratom are junkies and we're addicted to it.
I didn't get that look with a big bag of prescription pills. They were like, oh, you have to take that many. And they're like, oh, they would be sympathetic. And I have this big old bag of pills. Like, I hate it. Now I just have like this little bag of, green powder that I'm wandering around with. And it's, and then I'm like shunned upon. And I'm like, this works way better than this big bag of pills that I was carrying around that barely, helped me function. Well, and I was, and by those, the amount of pills that I had, it wasn't safe for me to drive a vehicle.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like it says right
Yeah.
on the bill, do not operate heavy machinery. You got oxys, perks, all this long list of pain medication because that's what I had to take. And I was comatose to the bed, you know, like here I am living my best life and I'm out, like I go to the beach, I go to a mountain, you know, like when I say dancing, I'm just kind of like, you know, bebop in my head. Like I can't, my physical self ain't dancing, but I'm just out there, you know, I'm living. And I wouldn't be able to do that had I been on this big bag of pills that wasn't helping, you know? So it's like,
and then
I wish people would look at it differently.
I had the spinal cord stimulator implanted in 2006 so that I wouldn't need to take more medication because I always took a low dose of any opioid. It was fairly low dose for me.
Yeah. And now they're having all these issues with the spinal cord.
I have a broken one on my spine and it's been
Yep.
broken for
There's all
10
kinds
years.
of lawsuits and
It's
everything for them.
against my scoliosis. I have a lot of scoliosis. It's tugging against that. I've already got, I mean, I'm in a mess, but finally after 10 years, I will see a doctor early next month again. And I have not had health care. I have pain care, health care for 10 years. The last appointment I had was for my narcolepsy and apneas and my machine, and that was recalled, and that was 2018. So I haven't had any care. So these are blessings for me. Kratom was my life preserver. I was drinking alcohol to relieve pain after patient abandonment, and that was in 2016. And I started using Kratom, drinking Kratom in 2019, and I had already gotten sober for it. I wish that it would have dawned on me to use Kratom sooner on a regular basis because I raw dogged my sobriety. I just quit and I was done. But I also didn't have that as a crutch for the relief I was drinking it for. And then I also have been alcohol free since 2019. And then because of the relief and the less stress and all that, I quit smoking too because I haven't even, you know, going on 5 years. It's only been a little over 4 years, 2 months over 4 years, but did that too. So I'm, you know, doing the best that I can for myself with my issues, and they are vast. And
I wish I would have found Kratom before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
My mom would still be here. You know, I look at it that way, and that one's a hard one. My mom would still be here had I been able to have Kratom and know about Kratom pause, you know, prior, because she was, you know, the pain clinic killed her. The pharmaceuticals killed her, and she took less than what she was prescribed. She did everything that she was told and took less.
I found it in 2009. I took it here and there, but I could never find, back then there was no directions or instructions. So I thought that taking 2 or 3 capsules, and you know, they're the half gram capsules. I thought like, oh my gosh, now I'm taking 3. That's too much. I just didn't know that it was okay to take 2 or 3 grams or 4 or maybe even 5, because you're thinking, man, 10 capsules, that's exceeding. And I try to stay low on everything. So I try again here and there. I would get a little energy with like the 3 capsules, but nothing for pain relief. So it wasn't something that I continued with. It was every once in a while. And then finally, ankle break, flare, everything. I took more time to try to use it. And that was 2019. And then I consumed it daily, other than a few breaks every now and again. And that's only because I do that for everything, even the Tylenol and the ibuprofen. I just try to do a little few-day detox, you know.
But you found what works for you, and
yes.
I mean, I think back to when, you know, we first were, you know, met online years ago, and like your appearance is like night and day, just how you look and just everything, just your presence. I've seen the huge difference in you.
I appreciate.
And if you have something that works, why on earth would I sit here and be pointing a finger at you and making you feel bad about
crying
that?
all the time because I just couldn't cope? And even though that still occurs for me because of being hit with strong emotions, it's fewer and far between. It's not like every song I hear or everything that somebody says, and then the tears fall, or the rain drops, here they come. You know, things like this is just very different. And then combined with basically my son and my daughter-in-law rescuing us, you know, we're here now. So you know, exactly. So I appreciate that, because people really had no clue before.
Yeah, well, and
Yeah.
I commend you for being, feeling comfortable enough to talk more openly about what you're using and experiencing and how that's helping you, because I know that's not easy to do. And
It's not. The
we're all
ridicule
learning.
alone it's
Constant
stressful.
suicidal ideations from intense pain. That doesn't even count the actual events and the actions that I did do that I was hospitalized for because I was a
Yeah.
danger to myself. Doesn't count that, but it still goes on. When you can't get up your steps, you're like, oh my God, one more step, one more step. I only have to make it to the bathroom, or I only have to this, or I only have to that. And it's heavy. It's a heavy burden to carry, and then not be able to do anything. So then you're watching everybody else go on with life, and you're just there.
Yeah.
And so I am very grateful. I'm grateful for the options that are at hand for me at this time.
Well, and I'm just
And
happy to have a
Kratom.
platform where we can just have open, honest discussions. That's all we're doing here.
And I
And I
appreciate
just
that very
want to
much
have a
so.
place where people can be comfortable to talk about. Doesn't mean any of us are advocating for its use or encouraging it. Doesn't matter how somebody wants to spin it. That's not, anybody that watches this show know that's not what's happening here. Quick question came up from Marvel, is asking, is powder better than capsules? Well, just a reminder, we're just sharing our personal experience. But I started with capsules because everybody said Kratom tasted so bad. So when I started 7 years ago, I did capsules and it did nothing. It did nothing. I'm like, why is everybody making this big deal? And then people said powder's better. And so I switched to the powder. Didn't taste good, but night and day for me. Worked way better. So I've always done powder. That's just
With
my
Powder
personal.
for
capsules,
me
I
too.
find they don't dissolve at the same
They
rate. So
don't.
I've always
Same.
told people, like, anytime I'm like, if you can't, do a toss and wash, and I have a video, and like anytime people ask for a video, I give them, how this is how I do my toss and wash. Or if you can't use like the oblate papers, it's like a little rice paper. I always say, if you're going to use the capsules, poke a little hole or two in each end of the capsules, because then it will kind of each help evenly. That way you're kind of getting a little bit more of an accurate dose. But I've always found capsules to be kind of a hit or miss, because you really don't know what your true dose is, because they're not all dissolving at the same rate.
Yeah, I love Drew's idea, like having a live show from Thailand.
That
Would
would
be
have
cool.
been amazing.
That would be a lot of fun.
Let me start
Somebody would
packing
like
my
to come to
bags.
that.
And for me, the capsules don't break down, but I know that Mitrospec has a capsule that is better from what I understand. So that's awesome. And then it's
They're
not
using
that
those
animal.
vegan
Are
capsules.
they using the
Vegan,
veggie
not
caps?
the-
Yeah,
Those are
the
better
veggie-
than, the gel caps. I know with some people can cause like stomach irritation. It can cause constipation with some people, so again, make sure you're staying
plenty of
hydrated.
people, yeah.
All of my botanicals are in the powder form.
But
because
plenty
they
of
just
people
make it
get
better.
great results with capsules, so I don't ever knock capsules.
Right.
But what I would tell Marvel, based on my experience, is if you're not over time, if it's just not doing anything, you can open the capsules and just get the, mix it up in some warm water and add some juice and drink it fast. Use a straw. I use a straw, so you don't have to taste it, or do the the toss and wash. It's not for me, but I know plenty of y'all do that.
Another thing with capsules is a lot of people have found benefit. I'm like you, Madeline. Capsules do nothing for me, but a lot of people have found benefit in poking holes in the capsules and then drinking it with either something hot or something acidic to help the capsule dissolve more.
Yeah. Robin, Drew says he still has emails from you from way back in 2016.
Yeah, I believe it. And it definitely has been a long, strange road.
Yeah. Yeah, I just like Danny says, I same here. Powder works so much fast, like it just works fast for me. What I love about Kratom, and I think in pain management, taking the opiates, like you're in pain, you take your pain pill, and for me personally, it would take anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes before it kick in. But you felt it kicking, you're like, okay, the pain's finally subsiding. And I didn't really get high off my opiates. And I mean, I was taking Oxycontin, Percocets, all of those, but it just didn't affect me like that. But I always felt like, okay, now the pain's starting to subside. With Kratom, what's always blown me away is how you don't even notice it. It'll be like 10 or 15 minutes later, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm just doing my thing and I feel so much better. I'm like, I guess it kicked in. I feel so much. It's wild how it's so subtle. And everybody says the same thing. It's like, yeah, it is real subtle. It's an interesting plant.
Because there isn't as much of the mind impact in my case. I can only speak for me. The difference between taking pain medication and kratom is the pain medication just makes me not care about the pain. Doesn't really kill the pain. Kratom actually kills it, but my mind is still calm and clear. So
Yeah. But you know, with kratom, it just takes experimenting, trial and error, and figuring it all out. And I hated the taste too. The thing was, it worked better if I just made my swamp water tea. It worked way better for my pain. And I mean, I was gagging a lot in the beginning. And I take it multiple times a day. And I'm like, after a few years of taking it multiple times a day, every day, I one time used a straw to do my swamp water. I'm like, why didn't I think of this sooner? It's like a straw, you just don't taste it as much because you're just downing it so quick. And I don't make like a big tea. I literally take a small like cappuccino cup. I heat up some water, small amount, and just enough so I can mix in the powder. Then I add some juice and I drink it. And I don't like it hot because it's gross having, hot swampy kratom tea with orange juice or whatever juice. So then it dawned on me, like after I'm telling you, Robin, I was that was the face I made every time I drank it. Cause I'm like, ew, this hot. And then I add cold orange juice. It's like, ugh. And it's like, oh, I should let it sit out for a while and cool off. It's like, oh my God, why didn't I think of that sooner? It's so much easier for me to drink. And then it's like, oh, let me try a straw. Wow, I should have done that sooner. It's just we figure out things for ourselves, but I always mention it. So like over in our school community, I'll put the link up. If anybody here is not over at school with us, we can talk so freely over there. KratomRealTalk.com. I mentioned over there, how I even have a whole video of how I make my swamp water tea in the classroom. And I talk about the straw, and so many people have said, oh my God, I tried the straw. What a great idea. Look, if I can make things easier for people, that's why I share all this. It's like, maybe for the next person, it won't take them a couple of years to figure out, oh, I could have been using a straw this time to drink that stuff. So trying to help others with it. But yeah, come join us at Kratom Real Talk. Boy, the live chat is on fire today. Y'all have lots to say. And it's great having Drew here with us. Drew used to be in our school community a long time ago. We've missed you. It's good seeing you back, doing your thing. For those that don't know, the way I first found out about Drew was from the documentary A Leaf of Faith. That's how I found out about Kratom. It was a documentary about Kratom called A Leaf of Faith. It's on YouTube. It's still available to watch. But at the time, in 2019, it was on Netflix. And I just happened to watch this documentary, and I'm like, oh my God, really? A plant that'll help my pain? I just couldn't believe that would be true. But I watched it. I was wowed by it. I went and bought some. And that's been it for me. So it's just what a life-changing plant it's been for so many of us in the community. And I just love hearing everybody's stories. Marvel, the best thing to do is to do your research when it comes to brands. Can't really talk about that here. YouTube doesn't like us going into details, but you definitely want brands that do third-party lab testing. I do have the brands that I've done my research on, and I will only buy from brands that educate and advocate for this plant. I'm very picky because they need to be doing everything right is really important to me. So I have that info in the ticker. I'll leave that up for a while. And yeah, if you're doing toss and wash, don't inhale. That's why I knew I'm not a candidate for toss and wash. I got to make I don't know, whenever I watch people toss and wash, I'm like, how do y'all do that?
Lots of practice and several failed attempts.
See, I just know the first time.
Yeah, I applaud you guys that can do the swamp water, the tea. It's like, no.
I started off with that, and I had to get past that really quick. And I was like, when I started doing the toss and wash, I do like some people will put the powder first, and I'm like, I don't know how they do that. I always put the fluid first, and like I started with like the very smallest, like fourth a teaspoon, and now I can do a tablespoon now, like if I need to in one, but I prefer like a teaspoon at a time. But I just kind of start, just like when you're starting out with Kratom, you start small and you work your way up. You just keep track of it.
I realized I had the wrong ticker up. Sorry. That's the one. So, sorry. I'm multitasking here, trying to show you all lots of different things. That's the link I'm talking about for the ones that advocate and educate. Sorry about that. Go ahead. Keep going. I just wanted to point that out. Or were you done?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah. And yeah, lots of great comments here. Yeah, lab tested is so important. Be sure as companies do their third-party lab testing. Very important. I'm just trying to stay caught up.
And Drew definitely makes a good point with, you know, when they say that something is organic, probably not able to even be quite organic. So, you know, a lot of times that's just a marketing. It's just to make you feel like, you know, you're getting something that is better, cleaner. So,
And that's why just go with good lab tested
mhm.
product, because that way you know it's not carrying heavy metals, it's not carrying anything it shouldn't, it's safe.
Mhm.
Exactly. And, you know, that's what I love with the ones that I get mine from. They're all very transparent with all that information. Some of the companies put those numbers of the amount of mitragynine and 7-OH right on the bag, so you know exactly what's in there. And one thing that causes a lot of confusion, I have videos about this on my social media on TikTok and YouTube, but I'll just go ahead for anybody that's new. I know there's all this confusion about 7-OH because we hear about it all the time. Well, actually, it's a reminder there's different. The kratom, it's not kratom is kratom is kratom, right? It's all different. There's natural leaf kratom. That's what I consume. That's what all of us here consume. And then some people use extracts, which is taking kratom and it's concentrated. So it's usually those liquid extracts. And honestly, when we started this show several years ago, it was before 7-OH was all over the news. And a lot of these stories, you know, with demonizing kratom, it was about the extracts. It was constantly, you know, these news stories about kratom is bad, and they'd show these extracts, and it was all about extracts being a problem. But anyway, it's finding what works for you, but doing your research and understanding what you're consuming. And then 7-OH is a more concentrated product, even more concentrated, and your natural kratom is going to have some natural 7-OH is such a tiny, tiny amount. So when you go look at their lab reports, it's going to be something like 0.001% or something really tiny like that. That's part of the natural drying process of your kratom leaf, because we can't get natural, like fresh kratom leaves. They're not allowed to ship those overseas to the US. We can't have fresh kratom leaves. A fresh kratom leaf does not have 7-OH present. That all happens, you know, when you consume kratom and mitragynine, converts into 7-OH. There's all that science behind that, you know, all that happens in your liver. But the plant itself doesn't have it, but it's got to dry before it can be processed and sent to the US. So in the drying process, it naturally occurring this small amount of 7-OH, so they call it a metabolite. It's just important to do your research and understand all this stuff so that you understand exactly what these products are. And we had a really great conversation last week talking about accountability. Robin, I always love when you bring that up, because it's always important that people need to take accountability for the things they consume. And we're all just consuming kratom. Some of y'all are consuming other things in addition to that, but it's all being done with the knowledge and not overusing any of these products. And we know a lot of people abuse products that they consume.
We had people that abuse Coke and Diet Coke. Come on.
Yep.
So accountability has to be the start of anything you're consuming. I don't care if you're drinking. I don't care if you're using opioid pills. I don't care if you're consuming kratom. Be an adult. Be responsible for yourself. Be accountable. And don't try and shove your challenges, your issues off on a product, because the product isn't out there twisting your arm, making you take it. So learn what the product is that you're consuming. Learn what the safeguards are. learn what the responsible dosages are, and then move forward from that point. Just grow. The biggest thing is grow up, be responsible, and quit blaming a product for an issue you have.
Exactly. Well said. Let's get back into some videos because I still got lots to show you all. Now, I think everybody here, or most of us, know that Kratom has been banned in Alabama, the state of Alabama, for over 10 years, right? I find it surprising that Kratom in Alabama in one sentence is popping up on the news in that state. So watch this news story and pay attention to the words on the screen and the products they show, because this is quite interesting. This is a brand new news story.
Alabama is cracking down on the drug Kratom with a statewide enforcement operation targeting businesses and seizing illegal products.
Authorities today announced a months-long investigation resulted in the seizure of drugs at several businesses across the state. Because the drugs are often found in bottles with bright, colorful, and playful designs, authorities also worry they could fall into the hands of children.
WSFA 12 News anchor Ian Albano attended today's news conference where the Attorney General's Office and State Bureau of Investigation addressed the movement against Kratom.
Vials of drugs like these are the reason for Operation Southern Shield.
That's not Kratom they're showing.
And
it's not Kratom. You go
I know.
look those up. None of these products are Kratom. But see what it says? Alabama leaders discuss Kratom bus. The drug Kratom, blah, blah, blah. Those are
kava shots.
These are all kava drinks.
Those are kava shots.
And I just
now
don't understand this.
The kava distributors are going to now start catching charges because people can't be bothered to learn what is real.
And the media, they don't even want to take the time to learn what they're putting up is not what they're speaking of.
But they're informing this community, wherever this new, whatever news station this is in Alabama, the public. And let me tell you, I found like 5 different news videos, like news stations covering this story. Okay. And all the products they're showing are, I mean, they do show maybe some Kratom extracts in some of these news reports, but like, these are not Kratom. But people are going to be thinking, oh, Kratom. And here's something that's interesting. These aren't even 7-OH products.
Well, the fact that they keep calling it drugs, like we know it's not a drug. Like if drugs were able to be sold in convenience stores, then we'd have hard illicit drugs in there. We'd even have, like we wouldn't even have like, medical marijuana or regular dispensary if drugs were just allowed to be sold everywhere. So it's just, the language just baffles me when they start labeling everything as a drug.
Yeah.
Every kava consumer, kava manufacturer, distributor needs to be raising all kinds of stink with this.
They really do.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I mean, there's a huge difference.
And BAE will definitely be reaching out.
Yeah. Well, I'll continue playing it, but I just, I saw that. I'm like, those aren't even Kratom. Like what's even going on here? It's not even an accurate news story, but I'm telling you, every one of these news stories across Alabama, because this is from like a press conference. I think it was the Attorney General held. So it's like they're showing all these products on display. This is not like a file. This is from the Attorney General, but let me continue playing this.
A statewide crackdown to stop the sale of Kratom being sold illegally in some retail locations.
They're very dangerous or highly addictive. It's a Schedule I narcotic.
What you see here are the results of undercover buys by investigators that started back in May. Illegal drugs that will no longer be on Alabama streets. I asked if any store clerks.
Now, some of these look like they might be Kratom, but a lot of the stuff they're showing is not. I think this blue one here is a Kratom one.
Yeah, and that orange one, the K-shot.
But not all of these are Kratom. So it's like, they're deceiving the public because they're not even being completely accurate. I guess maybe because Kratom is not legal in Alabama and it hasn't been for 10 years, they're rounding up all of these concentrated products in smoke shops. And I imagine some of them are Kratom, but a lot of these are not. And they're putting a spotlight on these kava shots. And it's just incredibly
How about they
misleading.
actually did an enforcement of their laws before they had to get to the point where they raid stores and put
Right.
out balances?
Yeah. Let me continue playing this.
Check those IDs.
Well, I mean, they don't have a reason to do ID checks. These products are readily available. So no, I think that there are some store owners that truly were in the dark and didn't realize what they had.
83 search warrants were executed statewide, with around 64,000 of these Kratom bottles being seized. Now comes the push to continue keeping these products off of Alabama's streets and shelves.
Last week, we went to a wholesaler in Montgomery, just bought stuff, and we got over 50,000 of these vials at one location here in Montgomery. So we're getting and targeting these locations piece by piece as information becomes available. So we're going to hit them as soon as we get information.
It was said that Kratom vials and bottles can have an opiate-like effect, with one point of emphasis being how easily accessible this can be for kids.
Well, we want parents to be aware that this stuff is on the shelves. I mean, hopefully not for much longer, but it is in some places. Parents need to be having these conversations with their teenagers. Young adults need to be paying attention to what we're saying here. It's not just that it's bad for you, it's that possessing it can actually be a crime as well.
And while locations across Alabama that continue to sell will be targeted, the jurisdictions in Operation Southern Shield that were targeted were Covington, Jefferson, Lauderdale, Lowndes, and Montgomery counties. Val.
All right, thanks a lot, Ian.
Well, I just
and her statement of you could be in trouble for possessing it. No, folks, it's a Schedule 1 felony if you possess it.
yeah, they consider that a Schedule 1 kratom, but the kava stuff's not a Schedule 1.
No, like this is ridiculous. Like, I mean, I was just at a kava bar last night. Like I consume both. I consume both. They have kava and kratom bars all over the place. It's like, again, Florida has them everywhere. They're not. Yeah, they're just coming after everything that's literally taking away from farmers' pockets is the way I see it. Anybody that chooses to utilize a plant, versus a pill, they're just going to, they're just going to demonize us as like, some drug addict or, some bad person when here we are, just your normal average, Joe or Jane just sitting here, struggling to make it through the rest of the day, living in pain.
Exactly. This next news story is out of New York State. They're pushing to ban 7-OH. I think they're just going after, I think it's just 7-OH, but let me play this story for y'all.
It's a spiral.
Wading River resident Camden Ackerman says Kratom quickly became part of everyday life after dealing with severe back pain.
At certain points, you'll do anything to kind of get past that. And
He went through treatment for alcohol and Kratom addiction.
I think the day that you wake up and don't do it and you are violently ill because of it is a massive sign that
Stories like Ackerman's fueled a unanimous push in Albany to ban the sale of a synthetic kratom called 7-OH, often called gas station heroin.
Kratom is a psychoactive substance that acts like opioids. They're creating it semi-synthetically and very high potency and very high levels, and then selling it very openly to public in gas stations, vape shops.
As we've reported, Nassau County passed its own bill banning the sale of Kratom products in March, and in Suffolk, a vote on a potential ban was delayed in April. Doctors say part of the issue stems from people not knowing what they're buying.
Now we see at least one patient every day who is in our detox, who is here specifically for 7-OH withdrawal.
At Legacy Smoke Shop in East Northport, the store manager tells News 12 hundreds of people are coming in looking for 7-OH.
Over 300.
A week?
Oh, yeah, especially because Nassau has a big problem. So now you're getting a lot of new faces.
Spinella says 7-OH should be regulated, but says business could be affected.
Hopefully there's some alternative these people would be able to use that we would still legally be allowed to sell.
The bill is now headed to Governor Hochul's desk. Julia Rosier.
All right, so that's New York State. What's going on there?
And what's frustrating is like how quickly they're just yanking it and leaving so many people just high and dry. Like, where's the care and compassion that for people like say that didn't even know what 7-0 was and just was told it was kratom? Because let's just say that's happening. I'm sure it is. Like we've heard it's happening. So I'm not saying it isn't. but it's like those that have never, you know, really properly educated themselves on it, they walk in, they just start taking it. Like, where's the compassion for these people that are then going to have to stop taking this? It's just like there was absolutely zero compassion for us when we had our pharmaceuticals just abruptly taken from us.
Yes.
There's zero compassion. And
Right.
it's like, it's just a big, like, F you, and you're on your own, you know, it's, you know, but here, you know, then again, it's like, they don't seem to care. I mean, look at the behavior, the way that some people are these days, and how they've attacked just the Kratom community in general. Like, some people's behavior out there is just flat out ugly. The way that they treat people who are just normal persons, day life, not hurting a soul, just living their day life, and they're out here trying to like attack people. Like, come on, people, do better. Like, I understand, like, you've may lost somebody or something, but this isn't how you treat people in society.
Well, and
Come
the only
on.
concern that those store owners have is, what can we still sell? Come on, if you're pushing 7-OH products on people, which we have heard time after time after time, like you said, Amanda, oh, this is just like Kratom. If that's occurring, and now suddenly you can't sell it, the only concern you have is the fact that you can't sell it and make profit. What about the people you hurt by not educating them properly?
Yeah.
Again, accountability.
Well, and what we're doing here each week is we're educating through these news stories, through our personal experience, and just having the discussion. And some people think we shouldn't be having this discussion at all. Well, people need to learn about this. I mean, it's a shame so many people will just walk into a store, a shop, a convenience store, wherever, and just buy something off the shelf and just consume it without even looking to see what it is. We can't control that. It's not something I would personally ever do.
If we were out here like harming people, I wouldn't be, Madeline, you wouldn't be, none of us would be out here harming people going, yes, go take this. Like, I'm not pushing 7 on anybody. In fact, I always tell people, if you've never utilized plain leaf Kratom, don't even touch a mint extract. Don't even touch it, you know? And if you have addictive personalities and can't hold yourself responsible, don't touch it at all, because like anything can be addicting. Sex, you know, working out, water, like everything.
If we reach even one person and are able to educate them to the fact that 7-OH is not pure leaf Kratom, and that pure leaf Kratom is where you need to start and where you need to try to focus your consumption. If I can educate one person, then I've done my job.
Yep. Yep. And less is more. And it's just because you have high tolerance for one, you don't for the other.
And on the news segment, one of those packages, I think it was a 5-pack, if I recall correctly, but it was 1,000 milligrams. That means that's 200 milligrams a tablet. I'm not for that at all. I'll just flat out.
I agree. I'm not for the higher doses either.
It's just because, like, I will cut mine are 12 milligrams, and I will cut those into 4. Initially, I had them cut into 8, and then, you know, there was 1.25 milligrams, or then it was 2, and so they are 4 now. But I've been taking it over 2 years. So 3 milligrams at a time, that's still very low dose. I mean, but so if you're having a 200 milligram tablet and you're cutting it into 4, that's still 50 at once. And it's too much. It's way too much for the naive person that has never taken any of these. So I'm not for anything like that. And I am for a milligram cap of some point. I'm not sure what that is. I would be okay with 10 or 12. That's not quite fair for me to tell somebody else that does well with a 20, you know, so I have to think more about that. But I don't believe in these super high amounts, and maybe we should have focused on that rather than some of the other things.
Regulation.
And made it safe and regulated and not over a certain amount.
And properly educate.
Minimize so much that's happening on the person that maybe didn't know what they were taking. I mean, we know that everybody should be looking into that, right? But I'm saying, for the sake of the person that maybe didn't, maybe it shouldn't be in a, you know, redirections, labeling, all that's out now. Years ago, that wasn't necessarily existing, but it is now. And if you can't, this is just a helpful hint. If you can't read it on the package, open your phone, use a magnifier, or take a quick picture and spread it and read the directions. I'm just trying to be helpful.
And I want to, I touch on it every week. 10, 12, 14 years ago, when Kratom was first becoming known to the media, everybody talked about, ooh, it's gas station heroin. It's a drug. It's going to kill you. Advance 4 or 5 years, now the mints, all the extracts. Oh, it's a drug. It's gas station heroin. It's going to kill you. It's a drug. Now it's 7-0. After that's going to be pseudo-indoxil.
It'll be something else. It'll be
But
something
you know what?
else.
Each one that was so bad is now okay with a lot. So it's like, if it's
with
okay,
education,
we need it
and
we
accountability.
Need the education.
Yeah. And like I said, that's the reason I'm on this platform with you ladies, because we are educating people. We are showing them the difference and how to be safe in your consumption and how to be responsible in your consumption.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not telling anybody to go take Kratom. I'm not telling anybody to go take meth. I'm not telling anybody to go take 7-0. I'm saying, if you are looking for an alternative to an opioid, this may be an answer. And if it's an answer, make sure you educate yourself, that you know what you're doing and you know what you're consuming. Ask questions, learn what you're doing. I'm not walking in anywhere buying something and throwing it down my throat until I know what the hell it is.
Nope.
And I'm a child of the 60s. Come on.
Me too. I was born at the height. I mean, I was 68, just getting there. Born in 68. Yep. And I met somebody last week or a few days ago rather, and this is in the sense of harm reduction, and I won't reveal the person's name, but a couple of the people that I met, he formerly had issues with street items or whatever you call it on the street, illicits, and also tianeptine. And for 3 years now, because of 7, he's maintaining, he's fine. He doesn't take excessive amounts, very low amounts to me for somebody who weaned themselves off of all of that. So in the sense of harm reduction, I am so proud of him, because he was needing to do the other in order to cope with life. We know that people who are doing the other are also in pain. It might not be physical, but there's something going on with them. And I'm just proud of him. And so I just wanted to say that, because I don't come from the side of it from harm reduction, but I am compassionate to the side of it from harm reduction, because of
there's so many of them out there that utilize it for harm reduction.
Away from all these deaths from fentanyl, it's because the fentanyl was contaminated and mixed and all these things going on, or maybe some poly and all that too. But I'm just saying, he's well. He was able to give testimony. He was able to, because we lobbied that day as well, he was able to share his story. And he wasn't falling over. He wasn't in this doze that everybody's saying, everybody's falling over like heroin. We're not like that. He wasn't like that. And I mean, I'm proud of him. And then I did meet another person. They were Kratom only, but we helped them. It was their first time there. They'd never done that before. And I thought they were a great person too. And we were able to help them. And I was able to encourage them and tell them, you got this, to go ahead and put your foot forward and do this. And they did. And, so.
I'm glad you brought up tianeptine, because that's still a nightmare that those of us that started with Kratom way, way back when, we still live with that nightmare. We lost how many dozens of people to tianeptine.
Tianeptine. What was the other one? What was the other one? Phenibut. Those two were
I'll never forget those. I mean, they took personal friends of mine from me.
Yeah.
Why aren't people addressing them? Oh, it's a research chemical. Yeah, it is. And guess what? When they can't make tianeptine, they'll make the next molecule over and do the same thing all over again. Let's start looking at those issues and looking at what's driving people to consume these things. What are they trying so hard to escape?
Tianeptine, I believe, is in Canada or UK or one of them. I could be wrong, so please don't beat me up. It is an antidepressant, but it's an antidepressant that hits various receptors. So, you know, people who do form addictions are often deal with depression and other things going on in their lives as well. And it's still a form of pain. I'm just saying that whether it be chronic pain or other pain, or sometimes people are in both, having options matter in order to relieve their lives and live better quality of lives. And be present, because this person was absolutely present. They weren't out of their minds. They weren't, if I wouldn't have learned it, I would have never been able to tell. You can usually tell when somebody's fallen over or they're, you know, they're high AF, you know. So I'm just happy for them.
Yeah, I got the perfect video for us to watch next. Speaking of the whole tianeptine, gas station heroin, it's like perfect timing.
Is this a throw things video?
No, not this one. Not the next one. Drew says September is the 10th anniversary of the first Kratom rally at the White House. How about a Kratom Gals live
That
show
would
from
be
DC?
so awesome.
That would be cool.
That would be so cool. That would be so cool.
Maybe our word of the day can be Kratom rally then.
There you go.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, now you just find sponsors for that, because that was not a inexpensive undertaking for.
September's a crazy month for me too, but if I can make it work, I've got 2 weekends that I'm booked, but yeah, if that happens, I could definitely go. That'd be fun.
Yeah,
that'd be awesome. What a cool experience.
Yeah. Let me play this next video because it's just so timely with the whole tianeptine gas station heroin name. This comes from Coach Hard Games. He has a popular YouTube channel called Healing Together, and he talks about Kratom all the time. He's somebody that consumes natural Kratom. He's taught over the years about him using 7-OH. He has chronic pain. He talks about everything. He's very open and honest, but very timely with this short video he put out this week talking about the whole tianeptine. So y'all watch this.
All right, friends, welcome back to Healing Together. See, now we have a legitimate problem on our hands. The misinformation about Kratom is getting beyond ridiculous. Do you know how many articles I have read in the last month calling Kratom gas station heroin? Because it's a scare tactic, it's BS, and it's written by people who are being paid to follow the agenda. Do you know what gas station heroin is? I challenge any one of you who have written these BS garbage articles. Gas station heroin is Zaza, commonly referred to as Za. It is a mixture of tianeptine, phenibut, and other synthetic additives. Yes, it is very addictive. Yes, the withdrawals are very brutal. It has nothing to do with Kratom. It is not Kratom. Kratom is a leaf. I think we're going to need to find out who's writing these articles, because there's a bigger fight on our hands. If you're going to write an article about gas station heroin, at least get it straight. My name is Coach Hard Games. This is Healing Together, and we will fight back. See you in the next video.
Yeah, I thought that was
love him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that was so
timely.
great.
That was perfect timing for him to put that out.
And that's why I've said it so many times before. Like they keep gas station heroin is everything. You'd never even be able to know which one to stay away from as that phrase, because it keeps changing. It was
It's
spice or something like
confusing
that
people.
10 years ago or so too, right? So you don't know. It's scare tactics and fear mongering, and you know, find a different phrase or something. I'm not sure, but I'm glad. That was a good video.
Yeah, that was a good one. And he just like I just noticed that, and I'm like, oh, this is so relevant for all the things we're talking about. So yeah.
And he is so right. That truly was the originator of the gas station heroin
Yeah.
phraseology, and then it's been perpetuated by others through the years.
Exactly. Let's see if we can get a little bit more done before we wrap up, because gosh, we've already been here for well, I know we started late. We've been here for an hour and 40 minutes, but let me get this next one, because the State House in Georgia had a hearing this week, and I'm going to play, if we have time, I might play some clips from that. It was 3 hours long. I haven't watched it all, but Venus was kind enough to send me some timestamps of various speakers talking about it. Let me play the news story out of Georgia this week.
New developments tonight. Some Georgia lawmakers took a big step discussing the controversial product, Kratom, particularly ways to better regulate it.
Channel 2's Corey James live tonight in Midtown Atlanta. So, Corey, everybody from lawmakers to law enforcement to medical experts, they said they need to learn more because Kratom is sold over the counter at smoke shops and at gas stations.
Yeah, George, and it's sold at smoke shops like this one right behind me. It also is sold at convenience stores like this one right across the street here. Lawmakers say they want to reduce the access to better protect children.
It's like a legal alternative to opiates.
Patrick Hussey says he does not do Kratom, but he is somewhat familiar with the product.
The effects of it would be very similar to like if you took...
Wait, he doesn't do it, but he knows?
There's that drug terminology as well. He doesn't do Kratom.
Yeah, that is very much. But he doesn't do this, but let's interview him anyway and have him share what Kratom is and does. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it's such terrible journalism with so many of these news stations around the country. You know, they show products that are not what they're talking about. We've seen that time and time again here. That's one of the reasons why we do this show, because I kept noticing so much of this misinformation the media puts out that's like, I need to make sure people are aware, fellow Kratom consumers, like this is what information goes out to the public on a regular basis. I never have a shortage of these videos for us to watch. And this is just a fraction of what I've seen week by week. But I mean, it's like, oh, let's interview this guy on the street. He doesn't do Kratom, but he has lots to say about it. Oh my God, give me a break.
Some of the prescription like opiate pills.
Lucas Trulio tells us he's seen it around Metro Atlanta as well.
Usually when there's certain drugs from gas stations, I try to, of course, not to take it. Yeah.
We told you about Kratom back in May when the DeKalb County Medical Examiner's Office became the latest county to add Kratom to its autopsy reports. Now, weeks later, several Georgia lawmakers and medical experts gathered for the first time at the Capitol to evaluate the impact of these products on minors. They also looked at strengthening protections for all consumers.
I became especially engaged in the problem of Kratom about a year ago. But today, the patients that I'm treating, all of them who've become recently addicted in the past.
I'm going to stop for a minute. That's Andrew Kalani. For those of you like some of us that come from pain management and we lost our access to our opiates, it's because of him. He has this organization and he was responsible for that whole initiative 10 years ago that, we're all addicted to our opiates and it's bad and we got to stop prescribing so much.
I swear this man must be the most miserable human being on the face of the planet. That is the only excuse for the things he says and does.
Yeah, it's all about getting paid to do all this stuff. He did that in the pain community. Now he sees an opportunity in the Kratom industry to go capitalize and talk about how bad Kratom is and talking about how he sees patients. Doctor Patient Forum did this deep dive expose. We played it a few months ago here. And it's like, he's not seeing patients anymore. He gets paid to go around the country and talk about all this stuff. So it's so misleading, but this is him speaking at the Georgia House of Representatives. And so he is coming after our Kratom. Just want to make sure everybody's aware. All right, let me continue this story.
Last 5 or 6 years, it's Kratom that caused their addiction.
One question that came up, where Kratom is sold, specifically focusing on vape shops and convenience stores.
Selling in a place in which that can be controlled might be best for public health.
And as we shared before, Kratom can be deadly. This woman who lost her cousin knows it well.
She ended up overdosing, like in public, in front of her kids. It was terrible.
I mean, more oversight is, in my experience, generally the way to go with these sort of things.
And lawmakers tried to ban Kratom about 4 years ago, but that proposal failed. It is only allowed to be sold to people who are over the age of 21. Live in Midtown, Corey James, WSB Tonight.
All right, so
Anywhere Kolodny goes, problems arise.
absolutely. And yeah, they said he was there in DC. Drew said he was surprised that Kalani said nothing to him. Wow. He's showing up everywhere with the Kratom industry stuff right now. And it's yeah. So it's already bad enough. He helped get rid of our pain meds. And now,
there should be several class action lawsuits against that man.
It really should be.
Because he has caused not just pain and suffering, he has caused death on a wide scale.
Yeah.
He just, man, absolutely disgusts me. And Drew, he wouldn't come to you because you're a veteran. He didn't dare.
Yeah. So that I'm going to play. I don't know if we're going to have time to do any of the Georgia clips, but I really want to play this next one, and then we'll move over to Georgia if we still have some time. I mean, as long as everybody's good with staying on a bit more. But there's this YouTuber guy. I've never heard of him, and he showed up in my feed. His name is Philip DeFranco. He has over 6 million, 6.64 million subscribers just on YouTube. I have no idea who he is, but he did a show this week that is, how long is this? A 28-minute show on YouTube where he talks about a variety of news stories. Kratom is one of them. In 3 days, since it's been out, it has 593,000 views. So I have the segment just on Kratom. It's almost 5 minutes long, but I thought, y'all might want to see this because this guy's getting a lot of attention. Does anybody know who he is? I've never even heard of him. Okay, maybe somebody in the live chat knows who he is and y'all can fill us in. But anyway, I want to play this. I'm going to play it in its entirety. So yeah, you might want something soft to throw at your computer, Robin. So let's watch this and we'll talk about it after.
My apologies in advance. We do have to talk a bit about the dumpster fire that is American politics. Because Trump's new DHS secretary, the one who replaced Christine Noem, Markwayne Mullin, it turns out that he contains multitudes. Not only does he have a reputation for these weird insecurities around masculinity and violence.
You want to do it now? I'd love to do it right now. Well, stand your butt up then. You stand your butt up.
Oh, hold on.
Oh,
Stop it.
Is that your solution, every
He is also one of the government's biggest defenders of a substance by the name of Kratom. We've talked about it on the show before. It comes from leaves from this tree in Southeast Asia. It interacts with your brain's opioid receptors, and it's said to relieve pain, boost energy, and help you focus. However, it's also been linked to liver toxicity, seizures, addiction, and so critics say that it is dangerous, while also supporters argue that it is safe in small doses and has beneficial effects. Right? One of the big things is that it took off in the 2010s at the peak of the opioid epidemic, being sold in corner stores, gas stations, vape shops, as tablets, drinks, and gummies. The industry getting a big boost toward the end of the decade from one consumer with one of the largest platforms on earth. Can you guess who I am talking about?
It felt kind of good. It didn't feel bad. It felt a little uneasy, like whoa, the world feels a little weird right now. I'm on it right now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I just took some, like 6 of them. See what happens.
Wow.
I took 10 once. Have people died from this?
Yes.
I mean, look, water kills people.
Now, we can't speak to the number of people who have died drinking too much water, but at least according to the CDC, over 5,200 overdose victims had Kratom in their system between 2020 and 2024. And while it is true that they often had other drugs in their system as well, one study found that people using Kratom were 6 times more likely to die from an overdose. But generally, it's legal, hence why some have called it gas station heroin, and hence why several states have restricted or simply banned it in recent years. But one of the things that we've seen is that the Trump administration has been very friendly toward the industry, and now we're also getting a clearer picture as to maybe why. Because according to the New York Times, Markwayne Mullin has as much as $1 million invested in a Kratom company called Botanic Tonics. Botanic Tonics' founder, Jerry Ross, he is an interesting personality. He used to be a fossil fuel company executive in Oklahoma, right, the state that Mullin represented in the Senate. In fact, he did 3 years in prison for diverting $10 million from his company. But what's relevant for this story is that he drank a lot. Like, it was so bad that he got charged for drunk driving 3 times in the 2000s. And so he says that when he got out of prison, he tried all sorts of drugs, legal and illegal, to try to satiate that addiction, but nothing worked. Nothing, that is, except for Kratom, which he then started selling as a drink called Feel Free in 2020. And within a few years later, you had a class action lawsuit alleging that Ross's company targeted recovering alcoholics just like himself, with ads casting Feel Free as a safe substitute for the bottle, right? Even though it's seen as highly addictive. And last year, Botanic Tonics settled. They agreed to pay nearly $9 million to put labels on Feel Free, warning that Kratom can become habit-forming and cause serious adverse health effects. But their troubles also weren't over, because FDA inspectors had paid a visit to their warehouse and they did not like what they saw. So the DOJ went to court to seize 250,000 bottles of Feel Free and other Kratom supplements. And that's largely where things stood as 2025 rolled around. But in the new Trump administration, Ross spotted an opportunity, and one specifically in RFK Jr., with Ross donating nearly $162,000 to Kennedy's campaign. And then using both RFK and Mark Wayne Mullen, Ross would make a very sneaky argument in defense of his product. Right? His argument is that Kratom is dangerous, but not his Kratom, saying his Kratom is natural as opposed to the stuff that his competitors sell, which is synthetic and basically gas station heroin. And you know what? That's not entirely wrong. Right? In 2023, a synthetic version of Kratom appeared that's more potent than the naturally occurring substance. It's called 7-OH. And so Ross's strategy is to aggressively attack this particular kind of Kratom, thereby wiping out the competition while also presenting his products as the real thing. And last year, the FDA held a press conference where both RFK and Mullen endorsed a proposal to federally ban synthetic Kratom.
It's an addiction that's truly killing people because it leads them down a road that sometimes they'll never recover from.
And according to the Times, Mullen also urged health officials to remove language from the FDA website warning of Kratom's harms, and it eventually was taken down. And in the meantime, RFK reportedly asked Ohio's Republican Governor Mike DeWine to back down from a plan to ban all Kratom products, instead encouraging him to just ban 7-OH. And actually, at first, he listened, canceling the plan, but then later, DeWine's office announced that it was moving ahead anyway. So then also in December, the Trump DOJ dropped its entire lawsuit against Botanic Tonics. And then, probably completely unrelated, just a couple of months later, Ross donated over $440,000 to the Republican National Committee. But then, according to some, in exchange for that money, Ross getting a private meeting with J.D. Vance ahead of a fundraising dinner, during which he pitched the vice president on the virtues of natural Kratom and the dangers of 7-OH. Again, probably completely unrelated, Botanic Tonics donating $1 million to the Make America Healthy Again PAC, right, accounting for nearly half of the funds raised by the committee between the beginning of last year and the end of April. But also I have to say, while Botanic Tonic is very notable, especially for its ties to Mullen, it is far from the only Kratom company that's been kissing ass to this administration. Right? Others have definitely thrown around cash and hired lobbyists to make their case to federal officials as well. And apparently they've been successful enough that word of Kratom's supposed benefits made its way all the way to the ear of the president. Because Trump paused during a briefing about maternal health care last month to give this random aside.
We're looking very seriously at natural 7-OH and getting that approved. Natural 7-OH.
Well, that's interesting. Oh, you're muted, Amanda.
It was like that second that natural 7-OH was mentioned, the whole community was like, whoa. It's like, oh my Lord, that sent them into an uproar.
It just confused everybody even more.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, what does it mean? We don't know. And it's like, well,
we still don't know.
Leave it to politics to just keep confusing.
But that was like just that segment. I don't know who this guy is, but he has a lot of subscribers and a lot of views, even though it was a whole show of newsworthy stuff for the week. But that y'all saw, that was like a pretty beefy segment. It was almost 5 minutes long. Mm-hmm. So
yeah,
but some crazy industry stuff he was uncovering. It's like,
I've been seeing like different covers. Like I saw like the biggest topic right now is like the Jelly Roll and Bunny like thing, and that's what's on the cover. And then it's a whole talk about what it's like, talk about 7-0, it's talk about Kratom and Mint. I'm like, and this is almost a cover on every single one. And I'm like, wow, like they're really like digging deep now to get people just to click on it that weren't even there clicking on it to begin with. They think they're clicking on an ad about a, like a big celebrity divorce. And then they're like going to read about 7-0. And it's like, it's just so crazy what they're doing right now to like really like put out so much misinformation about like, not only Kratom, but Mint and 7. It's like every single bit of Kratom has just been talked about in such a negative light when it's really just like, it's such a positive plant. It really is.
Yeah.
I keep waiting for the news cycle to cycle and put something else up besides Kratom. I am so over the negative because they're not doing balanced stories. They're not doing journalism. They're doing reporting. And
no, and if it was as bad as they said it was, we'd be hearing more numbers, and we're not hearing those numbers, So it's like, where's all this, like, where is, as everybody says, where's their receipts to back up what they're saying? Because they don't have them, but people are just like quickly just, believe it just because it's word of like mouth on a TV, or like, oh, so and so said this, you know, it's like, oh, this person had a bad experience with it, but that, you know, that doesn't like deem anyone else who's using, you know, any part of the plant responsibly. It's just, it's baffling the way that some people look at things.
And another thing that we still are not seeing talked about, and it needs to be, is pause. Because they're saying, oh, this person quit taking opioids and went to Kratom, but then when they quit Kratom, they had withdrawals. It's not from the Kratom.
Yeah.
Look up post-acute withdrawal syndrome, folks.
I deal with it. It's not fun. It's not fun. I dealt with it a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, oh no, I've got so much coming up. And it was, for a whole week, I was just, oh, it was rough. It was rough. Like, it's
Well, and
not
that's just
comfortable.
it.
I feel like
So
I'm
many
crawling out of my
people think
skin
that
with it.
Yeah, so many people think that it only happens for a brief period of time. It can last for years and years.
I mean, I was on pharmaceuticals, you know, just pain meds for 30 years. So it's like, you know, it's like I didn't experience withdrawal when switching over, you know, from my pain meds to, you know, Kratom. I didn't experience that. I tapered off and then made it the next day. And luckily for me, I had a very wonderful experience with my first dose, which kept me, you know, like intrigued with it. I got sick off of some product, but, you know, I did come back. But it is a lot to take in, I think, you know, with everything that's being put out in the news, you know, and I think it's just really being shoved down people's throats in such a negative aspect that really people aren't looking at it in a positive aspect, when there's billions of us that use plain leaf Kratom all the time and have wonderful results with it.
I think one of the things that gets me, and I've seen people say this before, how is it that Kratom in Indonesia, Thailand, Malaysia, all those countries is perfectly, totally safe? And yet the minute it crosses the ocean and hits America, it becomes deadly.
Yep.
Wow, that
And
ocean
we've
water
got higher
has a lot of
standards
power,
for
doesn't it?
testing than they do.
Yeah.
Right.
And they're still
Right.
Yeah, but-
fine. They're still relieved. They can chew it through their work days. They can have, you know, extra energy to be able to get through work and ease their pain while working, because it's hard labor. But you're right here, and then it's nothing but a problem.
Well, because also in the US, things have to be concentrated and made bigger and stronger and more costly. And it's like, yeah, why? There's never been an issue with it overseas. But
Yeah,
of
in
course
those countries,
here,
they're quite content to have natural, pure leaf Kratom.
yeah. Which is what I'm content with. I mean, it's dried, you know, so it could come
Yeah.
here to the US. But, you know, also when we're talking about natural, to me, natural is the leaf powder that I consume every day. I don't think of extracts as natural. Now, I know there's different kinds, and that's why people need to educate themselves. But, you know, when they were showing that segment, that guy did that segment, and talking about, you know, feel free and being, you know, that J.W. Ross says that's natural Kratom. I mean, to some people, maybe they think it is because it's what, full spectrum Kratom, but it's still not, to me, natural is the leaf. It's the plant that my swamp water tea I'm mixing up and making and then drinking. That is not the same as any kind of extract. You still had to do a process, and it's concentrated. So it's not the same as my leaf. Doesn't matter how many different ways you spin that, it's not the same thing. And then 7-OH is then also, you know, taking a concentrated misogyny and then, you know, doing its thing.
Semi-synthetic.
Yeah. And so it's just, I don't view those as natural in my eyes. When I'm talking about natural Kratom, I'm talking plant that I personally consume. And that to me is safe, and it's definitely safer than my opiates and pain management. Like we
If
talked
somebody
about.
were to ask me,
That's the same with me. Is pure leaf natural Kratom. Pure leaf Kratom. It's not the side effects. It's not the stuff that they've worked on. Just pure leaf Kratom.
and if somebody asks the difference, you know, how to be able to tell the difference in them is one, you know, natural is in the powder, capsules, or in the tea, the loose tea leaf. That's it. That's natural Kratom. And anything else in a bottle or a tablet is not. You know, that'd be the simplest way to know that you're keeping to natural plain leaf kratom
Yeah, it's
tea.
green leafy substance.
Yep. Green, powdery, leafy substance, exactly.
Yeah, for sure. Well, hello, Sherry Owings. Good to see you. Great having you join us. We have such a great active group here. And I really appreciate those that tune in to us and hang out. We appreciate it. We do this because we're just wanting to share our thoughts and our message on Kratom. It's great that we have an audience that loves being a part of this with us. Everybody is welcome. But yeah, y'all have lots to say today in the comments.
Well, and thank you, Madeline, for making this platform available, because a lot of people could have and chose not to.
A friend of mine was just telling me today, like, how much he appreciates this platform, and that, like, we need this platform to be able to get the word out, because, like, he appreciates what we're doing. So shout out to my friend who gave me that compliment today, because it was really nice to hear. You know.
Thank you, friend.
Thanks, Adam.
Yeah, thank you, Adam. I'm happy to do it. And as I talked about earlier, this is my wheelhouse. This is my experience. And so I'm just bringing the things I know how to do, which is not really hard to do. I would love to see more people have podcasts and live streams and other things to help educate people about Kratom and all the different things there is so much to it, and to help advocate and getting voices heard. I'm excited that the Kratom Stories podcast is coming back. You know, I've been doing all these things by myself, and it's a lot of work. And as I've mentioned before, like I work separately like this. This is my passion project. I just do this in my free time because I'm that passionate about it. Nobody's paying me and say, hey, go start a podcast called Kratom Stories. Hey, here's some money from the industry. Go do this Kratom Gals. Or, hey, we're with this other organization. Why don't y'all rename it to the 70H Gals? It's like, give me a break. So when y'all are hearing these rumors, none of that stuff's true. It's BS. And you know, I think anybody that comes and hangs out here knows that, so we appreciate it. And for those that don't want to, you know, believe us, then so be it. You don't need to be here. Anyway, do y'all want to watch a couple of Georgia clips? I mean, I've got some clips.
Yeah.
You know, it's 3 hours long. The Georgia hearing this week is long. I'll have the link to it in the YouTube description later today. And I'm definitely going to go and watch more of it, because there were a lot of interesting speakers. Not everybody that in attendance got to speak. This was more of like the experts. They had a lot of the scientists and doctors speak. I know Jennifer Martin, who's a big Kratom advocate, who's in Georgia. She's been to the Capitol multiple times. She was there the other day, but she said she made a great little TikTok video on her way out, and she said she didn't get a chance to speak, but she was ready to. I can maybe, if we have time, play that video. But I'm just kind of picking and choosing some clips that Venus gave me, because she's really great about putting timestamps together. So it's just a handful of just some short random clips just to get an idea of some of the things that were talked about. And all these speakers spoke for significant amounts of time. So I'm just pulling just some short ones. So this first one is a doctor. I don't remember all the details with her, but she's some type of doctor. So I'm just going to play this clip first.
Do you think some sort of regulation is appropriate? I think trying to ban substances completely leads to its own problems. We know that there are some folks who find this beneficial. And from my experience as an addiction medicine provider and someone who's very focused on harm reduction, I would want, if I had to choose between someone having uncontrolled use of fentanyl versus uncontrolled use of kratom, kratom is much safer. So I think having some restrictions on it, some regulations about how it's packaged and who can buy it are very beneficial. And
thank you. Thank you, Representative Chairman Corbett. And now Chairman Meeks.
Okay, so that's one clip. I'm just going to just do these one at a time, because there's several. They've all talked about a variety of things. going in both directions. I mean, she wasn't all completely one-sided, but I thought it was interesting when she had that comment, because I definitely believe that as well. I mean, I don't, prohibition doesn't work. I don't think that's a right way to go. Here's another clip. This one's interesting. So I'm going to play several from this guy. This is Jeffrey Love, the CEO of American Addiction Recovery. So he had some pretty wacky things he talked about. Here's the first. This is just more of an intro, I think.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If it please the committee, I'm Jeffrey Love, and I am the CEO of the Georgia-based American Addiction Recovery Association. More importantly than that, I'm a person in long-term recovery from addiction. I was in active addiction for 30 years, and I'm blessed to have been in recovery for 9 years. Of course, during that time in recovery, I worked here at the Georgia State. Don't hold it against me, but it was the Senate. Sorry.
Okay, so just a little intro on him. So he's CEO of this recovery thing. He was a senator, so he was in politics. Let's get into a couple of things he said.
And we hope we hear their voice. But y'all, you're going to hear from some people who believe that greed is good. And they're here to exploit my brothers and sisters in active addiction. They can say whatever they want to say to you over these next weeks and months. But this is the number right here. 233. And it's a number for you to consider. And each of you will react to this number differently. But that's the number that the CDC says has died nationally from Kratom. Maybe that number's okay with you. It's clearly okay with some people. Not okay with me. You see, I'm going to speak for people who can't speak today or won't speak today, because the number one danger around addiction that most of us believe in our community isn't any substance we put in our bodies. It's the stigma around the disease. And some people will not come and stand behind a podium like I will, because they're afraid they'll lose their job. They're afraid their church will ask them to leave the congregation. They're afraid they'll be made fun of at a school. So I want to say this. Medically assisted treatment is important. There are multiple pathways to recovery. And we should support legitimate.
Okay, I have to stop. We've heard enough of him. So I got to play something really interesting after all.
Kratom can be medically assisted treatment too.
Right.
Yeah, they had a place in Maine that was using medical marijuana and Kratom.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, that just frustrates me. Like, come on, like they're not out here. Like, we don't hear this for alcohol and cigarettes that are literally killing thousands upon thousands on a regular basis. Yeah, or Tylenol, Benadryl, or anything under the sun. Like, it's so frustrating. Like, I'm not diminishing. Like, if it's true, it's 100% true that it was nothing but Kratom that killed those people. That sucks. It sucks. I really feel bad. Nobody should die. Death, unfortunately, death is the only thing we know that with life that's true. It's inevitable. We're all going to die. Unfortunately, some go sadder ways than others, and some have addictions that don't get addressed early on in life. And I think that's and that's, again, it's like accountability and holding yourself accountable, and you're choosing to put something in your body. If you're not, if you're struggling, go get the help. I mean, it's out there. It is out there. You utilize plant meds because it's a lot safer. I sure do. I truly believe I would not be alive today if I did not have this in my life. My health was failing. My mom's organs were shutting down, and that killed her in an 8-month time frame. And I had been on pain meds for 30 years. So that was like my wake up call. I was off of those as soon as I could.
Well, any lives lost is too many, but there are millions of lives being helped. Mm-hmm. And compared to those millions of lives, 233 people, if that's even true, I don't see it being true with Kratom only, but in any event, even if it was combined, that's less than 1%. And I'm not trying to minimize the deaths. I'm just saying that by removing these options, you're also killing more people. And what about those people?
What are they going to label those as? You know, they're going to
Yeah.
go, oh, well, they were on street drugs. Well, were they taking Kratom before? Did you take that away from them? Like, why all of a sudden did the increase go from, hey, our overdose rate was starting to drop, and now it's drastically starting to go back up everywhere? And you ask yourself why. If Narcan is, and we've heard it, if Narcan is the one that's saving it all out there, why are the overdose rates rising at an incredible rate right now? You know?
Exactly. All right, let's get back to some more of these clips. It's interesting stuff.
Study committee. Mr. Chairman, I thank you for the privilege to testify.
Okay, thank you very much, Representative Ridley. So I just want to clarify a couple things. Your 233 deaths, according to the CDC's website, was from 2015 to 2025. But in that, it says 79% of them had another drug in their system, and 62% of those were fentanyl and heroin, which are already illegal. So that really only brings it down to 49 people over 10 years who died of Kratom overdoses without another drug in their system. And the CDC said that there was a great chance they already metabolized another drug out of their system. They couldn't test for it, so they couldn't even say those 49 were Kratom only. So over a 10-year period, we had 49 people die from Kratom, but we had over 100 die from ibuprofen. So they're saying we're going to have settlements and everything. Nobody's going after the ibuprofen company for killing more people than Kratom does at over a 100% higher rate. So again, I'm all about supporting people in recovery. I know people who have had meth addictions, heroin addictions, and I'm all about supporting them and doing everything we can. But I think it's a little disingenuous to come in here and say, it's so bad when ibuprofen's killing twice as many people. And then also you talk about people getting paid to come testify. Are you currently getting paid in your current role to testify here today for addiction recovery?
No, I'm here with my own organization.
Hold on.
Does that organization pay you?
Sure.
So you are getting paid to be here today?
Well, I run the organization. I pay myself.
Okay.
That was so good.
I love him.
That
Oh,
was excellent.
people need to send thank yous to him.
Well, that guy wasn't expecting that. He was not expecting
that Jim Carrey movie, and the truth shall set you free. Like, that's all I kept hearing. I was like, oh gosh, he was spot on. Like,
And
I like
when
him.
someone speaks out like that, even if he's not supporting Kratom, supporting reality, he needs to be thanked. He needs to be acknowledged and appreciated.
He was ready for it too.
Yeah.
I mean, he was prepared.
That's the type of person we need more of.
Yeah, 100%. So that was, it just felt very validating to hear, like, okay, they've got somebody in the house who was ready to say, but wait a minute, and provide stats. That was so good. That was so good. And I see in the live chat, y'all are agreeing. That was shout out to Venus, because she went and grabbed. She'll watch all of these and then she'll pull timestamps, so that way, if we're going to play some on the show, I always tell her, just like, let me know like the ones that are the must watches, and so she was picking some of these, like, oh yeah, you guys see this part. So shout out to her. I hope she's having a good time today doing her family stuff that she's able to do because of Kratom. All right, next up, I'm going to play a clip of McCurdy. Now, he was on a long time too, but this one part really grabbed my attention, where he does a segment talking about the latest FDA and human clinical trials. Because, a lot of times these people just keep regurgitating the same stuff. We've all heard it a million times because a lot of the same information, but this was some newer information. So I thought y'all might like this. So let me play this for you.
Properties. So I want to talk straight up to human trials, and the FDA has sponsored now 2 human clinical trials with Kratom leaf. The first, and we were a collaborative team involved in those studies. The first one was what they call a SAD study. It's a single ascending dose trial. That manuscript actually is published now, and that study investigated a single ascending dose. So they start with a low dose, 1 gram of leaf material. A month later, they move to the next dose because they do all the safety reviews, all the reviews of blood samples, everything that was experienced by that individual before they pass safety to go to the next dose. So they went from 1 gram to 3 grams. The FDA was shocked that nothing happened at 3 grams. So they skipped the next dose and went to 8 grams, then 10 grams, and then 12 grams. They completed the full ascending dose trial. The end result was that there was no clinically significant adverse events that occurred in that trial. Yes, at the higher doses, 8, 10, and 12 grams, there was some nausea and vomiting that occurred in certain individuals that also occurred in the placebo group in that study. Now, there was one finding from that study that made it appear to have some opioid-like effects, and that was that the pupil size changed. But it changed only a fraction of an amount compared to what someone would be seeing if you were taking something like morphine. The next study that's underway at Baylor College of Medicine is the human abuse potential trial. So the FDA didn't think they would even get to the human abuse potential trial because they didn't think that they were going to show safety in the single ascending dose trial, which they did. Now we're moving into the human abuse potential trial that will have 3 doses of kratom over multiple time of exposure, and it will go up to 16 grams of leaf material. I want to just point out, these are in 500 milligram encapsulated powder doses, so 500 milligrams per capsule. Somebody that's going to be taking 16 grams is going to be taking 32 capsules within a 5-minute period. If that doesn't cause you some nausea and vomiting thinking about it, I can understand why. We will see at that higher dose, though, if we have any other toxicological or serious safety concerns, as that dose has not been studied in humans. There have been a couple of other studies in Canada that have been carried out on kratom and kratom extract. The extract papers have not been published, but some of the leaf material has been published, pretty much aligning and agreeing with the study that the FDA conducted. Coming back to what I said earlier, I think this is the key underlying thing, that not all kratom is equal. We published this paper to talk about the distinction between native leaf and extract products. And interestingly enough, this came out in October of 2023. In that time frame, the semi-synthetics or synthetic compounds started to emerge in the marketplace as well. We were not aware of those at that point. So there's kind of 2 faces of kratom as we see it, up to the synthetics. And we'll talk about that much more in detail here in a second.
Dr. McCurdy.
Yep.
Just to give you a heads up, we got the presentation.
Let me stop here. I'll get you another some more in a moment here. I'm just catching up on the comments. But oh my God, that they're going to give people enough kratom to make them puke. That is 32 capsules. Oh my God, that's a lot.
No.
I mean, 16 grams. I take 5 grams, and I cannot take more. I cannot take more than 2 teaspoons. That's about close to 5 grams. If I take more than that, I feel crappy, and I would definitely puke. And we're talking way more. That's crazy. I don't want to be in that. And that study's in my city.
All that's going to do is teach people they don't want to do that.
That's true. That's true.
All those capsules that
that's
might
an
not
addiction
break
study.
down, eat.
Yeah, but they said it's an addiction study. But the thing is, my biggest wish, and I've had this wish for a long time, when they did that single dose study and the FDA is involved, the FDA will not update their website. So that study was done years ago. Okay, it's been years, right? And they did a presentation about it at the Kratom Symposium in Florida, over 2 years ago, just to announce that they had done it. Those studies take a long time, right? And then it's like, okay, we're waiting. Nothing's happened. Then several months ago, and I don't understand why nobody's talking about this. I did a video about it a while back, but it's been peer reviewed now. That's kind of like the last thing. It's like, okay, here's proof. We all agree, kratom is safe, natural kratom, when it's been peer reviewed. And it's like, certainly the FDA will update their website. No, not updated. They're not coming forward. And now they're doing a human study for addiction. Still, nothing. You go to their website that a lot of these legislative bodies and media refer to. And because they won't change their website, people think natural kratom is not safe. It's ridiculous. All right, now you're going to want to have something soft to throw at your computer, or you might just want to throw your phone out the window because we're going to do a couple of clips from Kolodny next, our favorite new anti-Kratom advocate who is popping up everywhere. I guess as long as they're a paycheck, we're going to be seeing him speaking out more and more. So, I mean, these clips are short that I'm playing, so I'm going to play a little, just some short ones here, but let's take a watch.
That's assisting them in their investigations of the opioid industry and in their efforts to find legislative approaches to the opioid crisis. I've testified before the United States House and Senate. I've testified before the United Nations, for the World Health Organization, and I've assisted state attorney generals in their efforts to tackle.
So he's just basically kind of giving his little laundry list of things. Actually, I don't think I started at the right place. I think I did it too far in. Hold on, let me see. I was first I did the wrong spot. Sorry. I just want to do the little intro in case people are not familiar with him.
Traveled a long way to be here, so we appreciate you.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here today. I am an addiction medicine specialist, and I also research strategies for addressing the opioid crisis at Brandeis University, and I teach about the opioid crisis at Columbia University. I've been working on the opioid crisis for 20.
Okay, so that's just kind of his intro. So apparently he came a long way to be there. Okay, well, good for him. So I want to play this one clip from him. And because this is so long, it's hard to get the exact spot. So we'll just pick it up right here.
Scheduled a lot. I apologize.
Sure. So why do people take opioids? People take opioids because when you take an opioid, it produces very positive effects. There's a sense of well-being. People feel good when they take an opioid. It can relieve pain. It certainly relieves anxiety. And this is the reason why people take opioids. And these are all very positive effects. And you may wonder, why don't we all take opioids more often if they feel so great when you take them? It's because opioids have the problem of tolerance, dependence, and addiction. When you take an opioid every day, very quickly, you develop tolerance, meaning you'll need higher and higher doses to get the same effect. And as the doses get higher, it becomes more dangerous. When you take opioids every day, you rapidly develop dependence, meaning you'll feel sick when you try and stop taking them. As you heard earlier, the withdrawal from opioids from Kratom is no different than the withdrawal from heroin and other opioids. And of course, opioids are highly addictive. An addiction is a life-threatening, life-altering condition that can happen easily if you're taking a highly addictive drug on a daily basis. The effects when you go into opioid withdrawal are essentially the opposite of the effects that you feel when you take an opioid, including a sense of impending doom. And it's important to understand that we think about when people get dope sick, is what's going to happen if, say, they go a day without taking an opioid and they get very sick. But it's important to understand that the withdrawal effects happen on a continuum. When someone who's a Kratom user wakes up in the morning, they're already in a little bit of withdrawal. And when they take their morning Kratom, they're going to feel much better. And that's certainly going to reinforce the notion that
he said the same speech somewhere else we were just watching recently. It's like he's just going to keep regurgitating the same thing at every one of these hearings. But he has the nerve to say that about us pain patients? Really? We feel better because we're in withdrawals?
Yeah, I get up between 6 and 8 in the morning, and I don't usually take my first dose of Kratom until 10 or 11.
There's some days I don't dose. Like if I'm having a lazy day at home, like usually Sundays, I don't dose at all on a Sunday. I don't have any withdrawal. Like, I mean, I have my pain, but I'm also doing minimal of nothing. So it's like I have my pain. Other than that, like.
Exactly. I'm having pain. I'm not having.
Yeah, I take my dose, I take my dose so I can function and move outside of sometimes move in my house or out of, outside in the real world, because the pain that I live in, like, why should I have to live in the freaking amount of pain that I am, why?
But
like,
they
that's
even
just so
want to
mean.
demonize that and say that because our pain comes back, that has to do with withdrawal. And I have never experienced withdrawal, anything other than feeling a little icky, if you want to call that withdrawal or whatever, because the pain does come back. But I've been able to stop it many times. But in order to do that, I have to take ibuprofen and Tylenol all day long, and then a devil's claw and the other things in order to do that. But they want to, no matter what we say, we're just an addict from it.
Right.
That's
Right.
it. No
Well,
matter.
he thinks we were all addicts with our opiates. I mean, he because of him, like it definitely his actions 10 years ago affected me. Like I could not get my opiates anymore, my pain management pharmaceuticals, because of what he did to convince lawmakers and everybody else around him that these opiates are causing us to have addiction and is ruining our lives. That pain meds did not do that to me.
Yeah, I never wish bad on people, but it's like these people that keep wanting to take from us. Like I'd love for them to sit a day on my worst day in pain and sit here for 24 hours and then tell me like, about pain meds or Tylenol or the meds that I can't take or that I'm resistant to, or, after my surgery, I can't take the ibuprofen and Tylenol anymore because, it's almost killed me. So, here we are.
But they'll shove gabapentin down our throats.
Oh, yeah.
And you do become very loopy on gabapentin. My husband yesterday was given the option of Cymbalta or Lyrica to treat his neuropathic pain associated with the diabetes. And I have taken both of them, and I've had adverse effects from both of them. Now, the Lyrica I took less than a year, but it caused me massive, quick weight gain and horrible upper leg pain. So I no longer took that. Cymbalta I took for over 10 years, and I did take it as its dual nerve pain and depression, and it helped depression more than the nerve pain. But I'm not sure how to advise him. He's different, so maybe one will be better than the other. But he absolutely said no to gabapentin, because I was on it so long and he was on it years ago. He would not be able to work and function on gabapentin. He still works even with his bad heart, 30% capacity on his heart, amputation and all that and everything else going on. You can't work on gabapentin.
Nope, and the FDA just reached.
You are looped, but that's okay. But you're not supposed to feel better with an opioid.
Yeah,
it doesn't make sense.
I spend my life trying not to wish ill on people. This man is the exception to that rule for me.
Yeah.
Because I wish him to feel nothing but what we feel every single day, and to receive no compassionate care, to receive no treatment for pain, to receive nothing but ridicule.
Yep.
That give me that,
he didn't care.
I will be happy for the rest of my life.
He's getting a paycheck every time he speaks. He doesn't care. It's just terrible. This is our new threat now. For those that are not aware, this is the latest threat to Kratom. He's popping up everywhere. We've already watched him do this several times, and this is what he does. There's only like just a little bit more of this part, and then I'm going to play the last one, which is also very interesting, and then we'll wrap up. We've been here a long time, and my back's starting to hurt now, and my headphones will start bothering me after. We've been here for 2.5 hours. All right, let's just watch it. Just a little bit of this segment left.
Kratom is helping them, but when in reality, what the Kratom is doing is relieving the withdrawal effects of the previous dose wearing off. Opioids are highly addictive, as I mentioned. I want to just quickly begin to wrap up.
All right, we're stopping with him. We're done. We're done with you, Kolodny. We're moving on. But can you believe this BS out of him? Like, he is just way off base. This last thing I'm going to show you all, this is really interesting. Some of y'all have probably heard of the law firm Weatherton Law Firm. They're in part of a lot of Kratom lawsuits around the country. So this is one of the trial attorneys. I'm going to play a little bit of his intro and then play this one segment of him, and it's pretty short. What he just did right before I play this is he just went over to all of them and passed around different packages of Kratom. So let's see the little intro.
Mr. Cohen. Representative Townsend, thank you to the committee. Like you heard, my name's Eli Cohen. I'm an attorney at the Weatherington Law Firm. And let's make sure everyone understands, I represent families of loved ones who have died I have about 15 of these cases across the country. The majority of them are here in Georgia. All these families were taking some kind of kratom, either extracts or raw kratom. I don't currently have any 7-OH cases, but we are starting to see those phone calls come in.
All right, so you got your little intro about him. I'm just going to play this one part and then we'll be done with this. But for anybody that wants to watch the whole thing, I will have the link up a little later over on my YouTube channel. So, because I definitely want to watch more of this. So this is a little bit before the part I want, because again, when it's a 3-hour live stream, you can't get the exact spots you want. But although I don't think I've got the right spot, so just bear with me a moment here. Okay, this is as close to the spot I want. So
away the game a little bit of what they're trying to appeal to and what message they're trying to send to people for this.
That's absolutely right. One of the products you have that the representative brought in right in front of you, the Malay Kratom bag. It's OPMS Kratom. They used to just call themselves OPM Kratom. They literally call themselves opium. But these companies are not hiding the ball. And in fact, OPMS Kratom is one of the largest supporters of the American Kratom Association. But even they, and again, I am directly suing them in 5 states right now. And so these companies they're not hiding the ball on what they're selling. They're selling what they want consumers to know as opium.
Sure.
And again, they're not doing it the way you've already told them they need to. And the products that continue to hit the market, this is true both in Kratom and other gas station drugs like Delta 8. There's a race to the top. I need to make the strongest product in order to sell my product. One of the things we've heard since 7-OH has become a problem is that raw leaf and even extract manufacturers are saying, I'm losing so much business to 7-OH. I'm gonna go out of business because of 7-OH. If you are losing your business to a better drug, you're not actually providing that kind of that public health service. You're just a drug dealer, right? It's almost as if a cocaine dealer is complaining about crack, in my opinion. It's just not legitimate. So again, is there a place probably for some kind of use of kratom as a treatment in low doses as a raw powder form? Maybe. But extracts and anything beyond that, 7-OH and the synthetics, you should ban them.
Certainly. And then just to wrap it up, I've noticed a lot of the marketing does lean on this sort of natural botanical leaf symbology as sort of, I guess, indicating that it's safe and natural as an alternative for whatever you're trying to treat. But just to remind people, just because it comes from a plant doesn't mean it's safe, because as we know, opium comes from a plant, cocaine comes from a plant, cannabis is from a plant. So
oh man, so these people, I tell you, there's lots of.
I didn't even know until about 6 months ago that OPMS originally was called opium. So I was mad at the
pretty bad
industry for rolling out all those funky names, and then it was already there happening, and so I'm still against all the funky names. I still am not appreciative of that. But I didn't even know that until about 6 months ago.
Just leave it as what it is. It's kratom, pure leaf kratom.
Why do you need to make, you want people to chase after it, but, it wasn't just the 7 side of it. It was already existing. Yeah. It already happened that might have been where they got their idea from. Heck, I don't know, but just saying that it wasn't just 7 that did that then, because I didn't even know that.
Well, I mean, look, the thing is, these products got put on the market. That even back, if it was called opium back in the beginning, that's terrible that they were allowed to call a product that. When you see OPMS, everybody knows, people get it. People are not dumb, right? But that's been allowed to be on the market, just like these 7-OH products with these crazy drug names. It makes no sense. Why, who's responsible? The manufacturers, the government, there's so many people involved. None of them are taking responsibility.
Even Trainwreck, why would you name something that? Oh,
I've never, that's a ridiculous name for a product, but it's just so common, right? It's you just blend all the kratom colors together and let's call it Trainwreck, and that seems to be a common thing. But people need to understand, on the industry side, this perception they're putting out. And now it's okay, y'all take responsibility for this stuff. Don't blame the person who has access legally to 7-OH and is using it therapeutically and getting shunned and demonized when that person didn't have anything to do with that product being on the market, and they're not even abusing it. And for the person who's abusing it, that should not have been available to them to abuse in the first place, and they should have been educated. But it's like there's so many facets to this. We're going to have these open discussions. We always have, and we always will. There's so many sides to look at this, but it comes back to accountability and responsibility. Why are people in government and industry side not taking responsibility for this? Why are the lobbying groups, why do they allow this to go on for so long? Now, all of a sudden, they're trying to educate and trying to make sure people are aware. What's taken so long? We've been talking about 7-OH. I'm seeing videos pop up in my feed that I made 2 years ago and longer talking about what is 7-OH versus what is natural kratom. I've been educating and talking about this for quite a while now. It's like, it always felt like it was out into the void. And now look at where everything is at. They want to take all kratom away. It just so much has gotten out of control. And who's always left on the other end of this? Us, especially those of us.
the people in pain.
The consumers.
Always
The people
them.
in pain.
Thrown away.
Always the ones in pain.
Away.
Yeah.
Always us.
The consumer is always the one left to suffer.
Yeah. And we're tired of it. So there you have it. We've had quite a lively show.
We're tired of it.
For the last three over
Like
three.
we fight enough for a normal life. Like, let us be. Like we already fight our pain daily. Stop fighting us more.
Exactly. Well, we saw lots today. We saw a variety of things. Always a great show. Always fun hanging out with everybody. Such a lively live chat discussion today.
Great interaction.
The chats just keep getting better, like every week. Like it's just so many people are really just starting to, join in and engage and really start to just pay attention, and I love that everybody's, waking up to what's really going on in the world around them as a whole.
Absolutely. And I've got the perfect phrase for the live chat for everybody to put in. I'm actually going to put it up on the screen here. This is what I want everybody, if you're here live or you're watching the replay, put a leaf emoji, because it'll stand out more in the chat and then we can spot y'all more quickly, especially when people do this in the comments on the replay. Do the leaf emoji and put natural leaf. We all consume natural leaf kratom, and we're trying to make sure people understand there's different products and it's not all the same. Educate yourself and understand what you are consuming and help educate others around you. Talk to people about this and make sure they understand. Kratom is not the same as concentrates and 7-OH. It's all different products, and make sure people understand what all of this is. So help spread awareness. But always a great chat. Always great seeing everybody. So even for those watching the replay, if you're watching the replay right now, we are 2 hours and 36 minutes in. So be sure to put into the comments, put a leaf emoji and a natural leaf so we know you saw this and that you're here. And always a great time hanging out. And
thank you all.
We'll do it again next week. And I'm sure Venus will be back. And Sarah will be back too. Sarah, they're moving.
I know. I still haven't been able to get together with her.
Yeah, they're in New Hampshire. They're moving to Florida. They're moving their whole kratom business over. They're such great advocates.
That's a lot to do. Like, how stressful. I moved from California to here, and I dumped everything that I moved with, and I just had my kid and 2 suitcases, and that was enough that was a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm moving again, but I will be in the new place by the end of next month, hopefully a few days earlier, but at least it's not to a different state or to Southern California. It isn't too far anymore. So
good.
At least we don't have to cut that all out. Yeah.
That's great.
Yep.
All right, we'll be back next week to do this again. And in the meantime, y'all come join us over in school where we continue the discussions all the time, kratomrealtalk.com. We have a great time chatting in this. It's such an active community. We're almost up to 1,000 I know we're getting close to 1,000 people in there. It is such a better alternative to Facebook groups. Oh my gosh, Facebook. Oh, this is such a better platform to be in. So y'all be sure to
That
join
is
there.
awesome that it's growing that much.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great. I just love the discussions we have over there. All right. Well, I think because we are all living our Kratom life, I think that's the perfect song to end today, living the Kratom life because of Kratom. And for those that got here late, when you go check the replay, the first video I played was me living my best Kratom life. I showed I haven't posted this online yet. Y'all are the only ones that have seen it, but I played this short video. I was out walking my dog this morning and I was able to bend down and tie my shoe. And that's something I can't normally do with my back issues, but because of Kratom, I could. And I was like, oh my gosh, I got to make a video because I was so thrilled. And I'm still so wowed by the fact that 7 years taking natural Kratom every day, that the things
I'm so
that
happy
it
for
needs
you.
me to do. I mean, my back's hurting. I've been sitting here for 2.5 hours, almost 3 hours.
Of course,
I need
but
to
you
stand up.
accomplished it,
But
and it was because
absolutely.
of the tea. Yeah.
Absolutely. Without Kratom, if I was still in pain management, I wouldn't be able to sit. I'd have to get like probably 30 to 45 minutes. I would have to at least stand up a little bit and then sit back down. Like I'd have to, I can't sit for super long period. I can do longer periods now, but it's not perfect, but still I'll take this, man. Taking a plant instead of pharmaceutical any day. I'm happy to do that. That's why I advocate. All right, y'all have a great rest of your weekend. Let's all live our Kratom life. See you next time.
Bye,
Well,
everyone.
Love and prayers.
Woke up today feeling light. Grab my blend, ready for flight. Green mango, it's my start. Red barley to calm my heart. From dawn to dusk, I'm feeling free. With every leaf from the Kratom tree, I take my dose, I feel alive. Yeah, I'm living the Kratom life. Oh, I'm living the Kratom life so wild. Every day I'm feeling revived. Capsules packed with nature's glow. Herbal realm, you already know. White flame when I need the drive. It's the power that makes me thrive. Mix it up, I found my way. Living the Kratom life every day. From dawn to dusk, I'm feeling free. With every leaf from the Kratom tree, I take my dose, I feel alive. Yeah, I'm living the Kratom life. Oh, I'm living the Kratom life so wild. Every day I'm feeling revived. Capsules packed with nature's glow. Herbal realm, you already know. You already know. When the day is long, I feel the strain. I know that Kratom eases the pain. So I take